Chapter 151. In the middle of the training field, Tianqi cupped his hands and said, "Iron Bone Tianqi." The Haoqi Sect disciple said lightly, "Haoqi Sect Tan Yong." After he finished speaking, a thick wave of spiritual power appeared around him. It seemed that he wanted to use his aura to intimidate his opponent. Unfortunately, Tianqi was unmoved. There was even a trace of disdain in his eyes. The spectating martial artists couldn't accept it. The disciple sent by the Haoqi sect was a 9th-grade martial disciple. Where did this Iron Bone disciple get the confidence to be so disdainful? Or was it that their sect leader was arrogant, and their disciples were the same? Sigh. A crooked stick would have a crooked shadow. Begin. The referee shouted. The first to attack was Tianqi. He took a step forward and used explosive fists on his left and right fists at the same time. Bang, bang, bang. Endless bangs could be heard. He came close too quickly, and his fists were also fast. Tan Yong couldn't dodge at all. He could only pour spiritual power into his body and use his palms to counter the moves. Bang! Bang! Tianqi's fists seemed to be filled with the power of 10,000 caddies. He attacked again and again. His strength soared and finally broke through 17,000 caddies. Feeling the strong wind and the aura formed by the attacks, all the big shot's expressions gradually stiffened. This Iron Bone disciple was the same as Li Fei just now. His cultivation was only a 5th-grade martial disciple. How could he hit with such a high strength? Tianqi paid more attention to his body and fist techniques. When he used explosive fists, regardless of strength or power, he was definitely stronger than Li Fei, who used his feet. This strength wasn't just a little bit stronger. Shen Tong's eyes almost popped out. The strength of 2 5th-grade martial disciples from the Iron Bone was higher than his, a 9-star martial disciple. It was too much of a blow to his self-esteem. Bang! Bang! Tianqi's fists were like 2 iron hammers crazily attacking. Tan Yong was in a defensive position from the beginning. He couldn't break free, and could only fall into an absolute passive state. Thump, thump, thump. His body kept retreating and finally stood at the edge. Because of the dense fist techniques, it was difficult to block them all. He could only put his arms together and let the opponent attack. All the big shots' mouths twitched. They felt like they were watching an Iron Bone disciple punching a sandbag. The one who punched him was a 5th-grade martial disciple, and the one who was punched like a sandbag was a 9th-grade martial disciple. This world was too crazy. Jun Changshao shrugged and said, "It's really not difficult." From the very beginning, he didn't take the Haoqi sect seriously. Otherwise, he wouldn't have kept emphasizing that they were just small monsters on the way to challenging the big boss. Right now, Tianqi was using a 9th-grade martial disciple as a sandbag to wildly attack. This was enough to explain everything. Tan Yong, who had fallen into an absolute passive position, roared in anger. But just as he shouted, a heavy punch landed on his face. His head immediately tilted, and his body staggered out of the martial arts arena. Pa! Tianqi clasped his wrist with one hand and pulled him over from the exit line. He used his shoulder to throw him over his shoulder, and then sat on his stomach. He raised his fists and bombarded him wildly. The sect leader said, "You can't kill him, but you can beat him half to death." Boom! Boom! Tianqi slung over Tan Yong's body and bombarded him wildly with rupturing fists. In an instant, Tan Yong's face was bruised and swollen, and he was foaming at the mouth. In the end, he lost consciousness and fainted. Kacha, seeing his disciple being abused like this, Qin Haoran clenched his fists. His cold eyes flashed with monstrous anger. There was no use being angry. This was a battle in the martial arts arena. If his disciple was abused, it meant that his skills were inferior. Swoosh! Tianqi got up and cupped his hands. "Thank you for letting me win." The big shots of the 100 Clans Alliance and the martial artists of various forces, who were watching the show, had interesting expressions on their faces. After the battle began, Tan Yong fell into a passive position. He could only block until he fainted on the spot. Throughout the battle, he didn't counterattack once. This gap was too big. One is Li Fei, one is Tianqi. Iron Bone's disciples are so strong. I can finally understand why the Star Cloud Sect's disciples who challenged Iron Bone were shaved bald. Two disciples can abuse 8th grade and 9th grade martial disciples as if they were playing. The Star Cloud Sect's inner disciples are undoubtedly going to be abused. All the martial artists were discussing in private. Although the Star Cloud Sect's sect leader, who was standing in the crowd, was flushed red, he felt much better. Alliance Master Qin's two personal disciples were defeated consecutively. His own disciple losing to Iron Bone did not seem to be a shameful thing. Master AI, Wang Donglin smiled. This Iron Bone is not simple. Two rank 5 martial disciples had consecutively exploded more than 15,000 strength. They had definitely gone through extreme physical training. The second disciple's fist is so strong. It must be related to the body-shaping pill. AI Shang guessed. Martial artists with ordinary qualifications and low levels could use the body-shaping pill to fight beyond their level. If it was used as a gimmick, it would definitely attract more attention and could be sold at a sky-high price. Wang Donglin cared about his disciple's strength, but he cared about the body-shaping pill's effect. He was indeed a qualified businessman. After Tianqi returned to his position, Jun Changshao cupped his hands and smiled. Alliance Master Qin, for the third round, your vast spirit sect will send your disciple up first. Seeing that smiling face, Alliance Master Qin could not wait to reach out and tear it apart. Calm down, calm down. No matter how angry he was, he had to maintain a smile. However, his disciple had lost 2 rounds in a row. The second one was brutally defeated. He could not fucking smile at all. Qin Haoran suppressed his endless anger. He looked at a disciple on the right behind him and said, "Go." Yes. The third personal disciple went up. He was also a rank 9 martial disciple, but his strength was stronger than Tan Yang's. Xiaomu go. Jun Changshao said. Su Xiaoma clenched his fists and shook his head as he walked out. He said, "My blood was already boiling at the foot of the mountain. Finally, I can have a good fight." Seeing that the Iron Bone disciples had gone up the stage, the various leaders did not dare to jump to conclusions. That was because they had all thought that the vast spirit sect disciples would win. In the end, they were all defeated. This was not a reverse poison but a strength. Even if they fought a few more rounds, Sun Yi and Tan Yong would still be defeated and brutally defeated. They did not have high aptitudes and could only rely on their cultivation. However, could they compete with Tianqi and Li Fei, who relied on various resources, pills, and even spiritual power formations? They did not even know what it would be like to continuously consume pills that could absorb 10 times the amount of spiritual power for 10 days. The third vast spirit sect disciple went up the stage. He cupped his hands and said coldly, "Vast spirit sect Lao Tai." Jun Changshao's mouth twitched. He said, "No problem." Iron Bone Su Xiaoma. Su Xiaoma said. After the two of them introduced themselves, the referee announced the start of the match. Lao Tai was the first to attack. He poured spiritual power into his body and rushed over in an instant. Swoosh, swoosh. Su Xiaoma's body rolled backward twice. He took large strides with his short legs and ran around the edge of the training field. His speed gradually increased. He was about to stir up a storm. Lao Tai stood in the training field. He watched his opponent run around in circles, unable to keep up with his speed. He suddenly did not know how to attack. Wang Donglin said, "This kid is good at body techniques." AI Shang thought, "Yes, it must be related to the body-shaping pill." Whoosh! At this moment, Su Xiaoma seized the opportunity. He circled behind Lao Tai and kicked him. Bang! Lao Tai discovered it in time. He turned around and punched Su Xiaoma's foot. He was about to follow up with a second attack, but his opponent fled again. "Damn it!" he said angrily. Swoosh! Su Xiaoma appeared behind him again without anyone noticing. He kicked in the air. This speed was fast, but Lao Tai still caught it. He put his arm in front of his body and successfully blocked the powerful kick. "Senior brother, be careful!" Someone shouted in alarm. Lao Tai was stunned. He glanced at Su Xiaoma from the corner of his eyes. He saw this guy kick his arm. His body leaned to the side, and his hands were clasped together. His middle finger and index finger protruded as he fiercely stabbed towards his butt. His chrysanthemum was ruined. The ground was full of wounds. Chapter 152. Bang! Su Xiaoma poured his spirit energy into his finger and stabbed it between Lao Tai's buttocks. Indescribable pain rippled in the martial arts field. Hiss! Many martial artists sucked in a breath of cold air. Their indescribable parts were suddenly lifted, their spines were cold, and their scalps were numb. There were many fatal points in the human body, such as the Baihui point and the Temple point. In a world of martial arts like the Falling Star continent, if one suffered a heavy blow, even if one didn't die on the spot, it would still cause great damage. For example, Li Fei just now, although he didn't die on the spot, he still retreated dizzily, creating an opportunity for the Iron Bone Shadowless kick to be used. The Baihui point and the Temple point were exposed, and martial artists could more or less protect them with their spirit energy. The indescribable area in the middle of the buttocks was the most vulnerable point. If one were to be ambushed, it would definitely be very painful. If one were to condense their spirit energy and stab it, there would be nothing left to live for. Lao Tai covered his buttocks, jumping and jumping in the martial arts field. His face was extremely ferocious. Just by looking at his expression, one could understand what kind of pain it was. Shameless. Vulgar method. The big shots of the Alliance angrily condemned. This kind of finger-stabbing indescribable parts was really despicable. Anyone in the martial arts world who wanted to save face would not do it. Jun Changshao secretly said. A group of sanctimonious gentlemen. Although this disciple's method was a bit despicable, it was enough as long as he defeated the opponent and won. What's more, the opportunity was created by him, and he didn't use despicable methods right from the start. If there was someone to blame, it was that kid's fault for not protecting his buttocks well and exposing that big flaw. From this mentality, Su Xiaoma's broken chrysanthemum, full of wounds method was definitely taught by him. Lao Tai was still holding his buttocks and jumping in the martial arts field. Tears were flowing down. It was obvious that it was really painful. Swish! Su Xiaomo rushed over, his body leaping into the air, and his right leg suddenly swept over. In terms of cultivation and leg strength, he was much stronger than Li Fei. In addition, his opponent was in pain, so he didn't put up any defense at all. Thus, he accurately hit the temple on the left side of his face. During the period of seclusion, Jun Changshao must have taught them. Otherwise, they would not have attacked the important acupoints. Boom! Lao Tai, who was clutching his butt, was dizzy and flew out like a cannonball, landing dozens of meters away from the training field. Iron Bone won another round. The corners of the mouths of the various big shots and martial artists twitched. The Haoqi Sect's loss in the first round could be described as careless. In the second round, the Haoqi Sect had been suppressed by their strength and martial arts techniques. The third round looked very easy. In a normal sparring session, the fights in the early stages were all appetizers, and the later stages would become more and more exciting. Why did it feel like the fight was getting simpler and simpler? Qin Haoran was so angry that his teeth were chattering. In his opinion, the Iron Bone could win at most one match. If the disciple did not use it properly, he might be shaved bald. In the end, he lost all 3 matches. Where was his face left? Jun Changshao said. Alliance Master Qin, are you deliberately going easy on them and sending a group of small fries to fight? These words were like a sharp sword, stabbing Qin Haoran's heart, making his face look slightly ferocious. Damn you! It's only the third round. As long as we win 4 matches in a row, you will still be a lowly servant in the stable like a dog. Alliance Master Qin did not care about shaving his head. As long as he won the following matches, as long as he won, he could also trample on Jun Changshao's self-esteem. Hu Zhenggo. Yes. A personal disciple called Hu Zheng walked out. He was a personal disciple with an upper-grade spiritual root, and his strength was at the peak of martial disciple. Qin Haoran did not send a 9th-grade martial disciple with a middle-grade spiritual root, because he wanted to win this match to raise the morale. Jun Changshao thought for a while and said, Zui Jigo. Phew. Xiao Ziji clenched his fists, and his exposed muscles suddenly strengthened and became solid. Then, he stepped toward the center of the training field. Wang Donglin frowned and said, This kid's physical strength is probably much stronger than the top 3 disciples. Looking at Xiao Ziji, Ai Shang slapped his forehead and suddenly realized. No wonder this kid could win the grand competition. It must be because he took the body-shaping pill. Vashchi Sect Hu Zheng, Iron Bone Xiao Ziji. After the two of them reported their names, the battle began. The disciple called Hu Zheng used all his spiritual power, and immediately used his fist art. Not only did it stir up wind and waves, but there was also a hissing sound. Vashchi Sect's unique martial skill, middle-grade high-grade wind thunder fist. A middle-grade martial skill. When used by a peak martial disciple, the strength can easily break through to 20,000 kilograms. If that iron bone disciple is hit, the result will be bang, bang, bang. Before he could finish his words, a storm of fists had already come crashing down on him. However, Xiao Ziji did not move. He opened his hands and blocked all the fists from different angles. That was called elegant. All the big shots were a little dizzy. Hu Zheng, a peak martial disciple, used a middle-grade high-grade martial skill. His strength was definitely 20,000 kilograms. Even if you blocked it, you should at least take a few steps back. Take a step back. However, he was a disciple of the Vashchi sect. This was because Xiao Zuiji had swung his arm at his opponent when he was about to make a move, and had sent him stumbling back a few steps. This hit was very powerful. It was definitely more than 18,000 kilograms. Swoosh! Xiao Ziji stepped forward and poured his spiritual power into his tempered right arm. Then he swung it again. Hu Zheng, who had just stabilized his body, hurriedly raised his arms to block. However, with a loud bang, he was directly hit back again. This everyone was dumbfounded. How strong was this kid's body? He could directly hit a peak martial disciple until he was in such a sorry state. Unbelievable! Wang Donglin exclaimed. He had never seen a martial disciple who could refine his body to such a terrifying level. Seeing that his disciple was almost unable to stand, Qin Haoran's eyes almost popped out. This battle was too crucial. If his disciple was beaten until he was dizzy and lost the battle, then the Haoqi sect would lose. If they lost, then so be it. However, there was a reward. In front of so many people, as the leader of a sect, as the leader of the alliance, what should he do? Qin Haoran did not dare to think about it anymore. He also did not care about his status. As if he had lost his mind, he roared at Hu Zheng. Stand firm. Fight back, fight back. All the big shots were silent. They could completely understand why Leader Qin lost control of his emotions. After all, if this disciple lost again, he would have to clean the toilets of the Iron Bone sect. I have sinned. Jun Changshao crossed his arms and said lightly, hit him with all your strength. Xiao Ziji received the order and poured all his spiritual power into his arms. He suddenly swung it and hit Hu Zheng, who had just stabilized himself. That power and that strength could only be described as fierce. Boom! 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 Under the violent bombardment of Xiao Ziji's iron pillar-like arms, Hu Zheng was like a boxer who was at a disadvantage in a boxing ring. He could only bend his waist and use his arms to protect his head as much as possible. There was a guardrail in the boxing ring that could prevent people from falling back. There was no guardrail in the martial arts ring. So Hu Zheng was beaten until he was dizzy and moved back step by step. Qin Haoran roared angrily, dodge, fight back. Hu Zheng was beaten until he felt dizzy, and his ears gradually lost their hearing. The sect leader's almost crazy roar weakened until it completely disappeared. Plop! In the end, he covered his head and fell to the ground. The blue sky seemed to be spinning infinitely, and his soul seemed to float out of his body. Pooh! Looking at his disciple outside the martial arts ring, Qin Haoran covered his chest and spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was extremely ferocious. Chapter 153. When Hu Zheng was knocked to the ground outside the training field, and Qin Haoran vomited blood, the whole world fell silent. The martial artists who were watching the show looked dazed, unable to regain their senses for a long time. The elders of the 100 Clan Alliance looked at Qin Haoran with sorrowful eyes. For out of the 7 battles had been carried out, and Haoqi sect had lost all 4. Even if they won 3 consecutive battles, it would be meaningless. Alliance Master Qin would also go to Iron Bone to clean the latrines. That's the Grand Chi Sect's sect leader. That's our alliance leader. They couldn't accept it. They couldn't accept it. The elders of the various sects had gathered at Haochi Sect in advance, just to see Jun Changshao make a fool of himself, and how iron-bone disciples would be abused. And the result? The plot was the opposite of what they had imagined. Qin Haoran made a fool of himself, and the Haochi Sect disciples were the ones being abused. The martial artists who were watching the show regained their senses, and chose to remain silent. Even those who thought highly of Jun Changshao wouldn't have thought that iron-bone disciples would win 4 consecutive battles, and obtain a clean victory. An 8th-rate sect had smashed the arena of a 6th-rate sect. As a witness, they could believe it, but would the martial artists who didn't witness it believe it? It wasn't hard to imagine that when this news spread in Azure Sun County, the first reaction of those who didn't personally witness the battle would be that it was nonsense. And the second reaction would be that it was bullshit. Wang Donglin fell into deep thought. The strength displayed by the 4 disciples of the Iron Bone sect shocked him greatly. He even began to think about how strong these kids could be when they went to Sacred Spring Mountain to fulfill their promise of a year ago. Inexplicably, this elder of Blue Mountain sect was looking forward to it. Alliance Master Qin, my disciples won 4 battles. You have to fulfill your promise and come clean Iron Bone's latrines. Jun Changshao smiled innocently and said, "Don't worry, my latrines don't stink." Everyone's mouth twitched. What the hell, your latrines don't stink? Alliance Master Qin covered his chest with one hand, while the other trembled violently. His breathing became rapid. He couldn't accept losing, and he couldn't accept cleaning Iron Bone's latrines. Who's that? Jun Changshao pointed at the martial artists who had been watching the show and said, "Repeat what you said just now for Alliance Chief Qin to hear." The martial artist who was pointed at hurriedly withdrew his head and body into the crowd. Jun Changshao shook his head and said, "If you don't want to say it, then let me repeat it." He looked at Alliance Master Qin and said in a clear voice, "Whoever refuses to admit defeat is the scum of the Jianghu. Everyone will despise him and kill him." Pooh. Hearing this, Qin Haoran spat out another mouthful of blood. What did a big shot in the Jianghu care about the most? That's right, it was fame. The Haochi sect had lost today's battle. If they didn't fulfill the agreement, it would be tantamount to losing their reputation. Qin Haoran slowly raised his head and looked at Jun Changshao with bloodshot eyes. He didn't hide his anger and killing intent as he said, "Sect Master Jun, don't go too far. You scared me to death." Jun Changshao pretended to be afraid as he crossed his arms and said, "Alliance Chief Qin, are you going to act shamelessly and kill me to silence me?" Wang Donglin smiled and said, "Alliance Chief Qin is the leader of a sect and the alliance chief of the 100 Sect Alliance. How could he act shamelessly? Sect Master Jun is overthinking." This was definitely a godly attack. It made Qin Haoran's body sway, as if he couldn't stand properly, and would fall to the ground. Sect Master Jun, one of the big shots, couldn't help but say coldly, "We're all people of the Jianghu. We'll see each other often. There's no need to go too far." "No need? Go too far? Ha-ha. Ah-ha-ha. Ah-ha-ha-ha." Jun Changshao laughed loudly. His laughter was like a devil's and sent chills down everyone's spine. "Jie." Suddenly he stopped laughing and tilted his head, saying coldly, "Old man, let me ask you. If Iron Bone lost, would you stand out and say this?" You wouldn't. You wouldn't either. All of you wouldn't. Because in your eyes Iron Bone, was born to be humiliated. I was born to be a fish on the chopping board, waiting to be slaughtered." As his voice grew louder, Jun Changshao's face became ferocious. "A bunch of hypocrites who only talk about righteousness and morality. What right do you have to say that I'm going too far? What right do you have to call yourself righteous?" "Xiao Ziji." Jun Changshao pointed at the main hall, the veins on his forehead popping out. He shouted angrily, "Break the signboard for me." Xiao Ziji, who had just retreated, took out his Type 88 sniper rifle and aimed it at the main hall. Even if this shot could cause a huge mess, he didn't hesitate to pull the trigger. The disciple will follow the sect master's orders. Pung, a ray of light shot out. Under the gaze of more than 1,000 disciples and all the big shots, The signboard with the words Noble Spirit Sect was shattered into pieces. 29. Suitable for traveling and dismantling. Avoid opening markets and meeting friends and family. Seeing the signboard that represented the sect's dignity being shattered, Qin Haoran's anger and killing intent could no longer be suppressed. Wuzong level cultivation completely erupted as he rushed towards Xiao Ziji. 1 step, 2 steps he stopped. Xiao Ziji's Type 88 sniper rifle's muzzle moved over and locked onto his head. He said lightly, "If Alliance Master Qin thinks it's faster than my god-powered gun, why don't you give it a try?" Proudly holding a gun, he threatened the Noble Spirit Sect's Sect Master and the 100 Races Alliance's Alliance Master. This scene could only be described with one word: awesome. Clang clang clang. The Sect Master was targeted by a hidden weapon. Thousands of Noble Spirit Sect's disciples all pulled out their weapons. Clang clang clang. Lu Qianqian, Li Qingyang, Su Xiaomo, Tian Qi, and Li Fei all pulled out their weapons to protect the Sect Master. Their eyes flashed coldly. Zhou Hong didn't pull out his sword, but the breeze blew away his messy hair, revealing a pair of eyes that were as sharp as a sword. The ancient sword wrapped in black cloth trembled slightly, as if it was ready to be unsheathed at any time. Yi Xingchen was silent for a moment. He walked in front of Jun Changshao and filled in the last gap. Forget it, forget it. He still needed to rely on his resources. He should just treat himself as an iron-bone disciple. At this point, 8 disciples surrounded the Sect Master, occupying 8 positions. As long as the Noble Spirit Sect's disciples dared to come forward, they would dare to fight back. On the Spirit Spring Mountain, facing the Holy Spring Sect, they were not afraid. In the Noble Spirit Sect, facing thousands of disciples, they couldn't be afraid. Daring to confront thousands of disciples in the territory of a 6th-rate sect, all the martial artists could only admire them. Qin Haoran gritted his teeth and said, "Jun Changshao, you destroyed my Noble Spirit Sect's signboard and trampled on my Noble Spirit Sect's dignity. This is an irreconcilable hatred." Jun Changshao said indifferently, "Isn't it ridiculous for a guy who cleans the latrines to talk about dignity?" This sentence seemed to tear Qin Haoran's heart apart, causing his face to twist in pain. He clenched his fists, and his killing intent had never been so strong before. However, he didn't make a move, not because he was afraid of the 88 sniper rifle, but because Wang Donglin came from behind and said, "Sect Master Jun, breaking their signboard is a bit excessive." Jun Chang said with a smile, "Senior Wang, you saw it just now. Alliance Master Qin has no intention of fulfilling his promise. I can only destroy the sign that represents awe-inspiring righteousness to avoid tarnishing the word awe-inspiring." In this old man's opinion, Wang Donglin acted as a mediator and said, "Since Sect Master Jun broke the signboard, let's cancel the bet." This, Jun Changshao held his chin and said, "I will listen to Senior Wang, but I'm afraid Alliance Master Qin won't agree." Wang Donglin said, "Using a signboard to cancel the bet and exempt him from cleaning the latrines for a year, how could he not agree? Right?" He looked at Qin Haoran and said, "Alliance Master Qin." Chapter 154. First he attacked with crazy words, then he smashed Haoqi Sect's plaque. Did Jun Changshao go too far? To be honest, he went too far. But it wasn't about going too far. It was about whether he should do it or not. On Spirit Spring Mountain, Qin Haoran fanned the flames in front of the 3 elders of Sacred Spring Sect, trying to push himself down the abyss. In Haoqi Sect, Qin Haoran added stakes in front of everyone, trying to trample on his dignity. No matter what extreme things Jun Changshao did, he would think that he deserved it. Because if the Ironbone faction lost, this Alliance Master Qin, and those jackals of the same lair, no one would stand out and say that they were going too far, or that they shouldn't be too ruthless. In Falling Star Continent, as long as your fist is hard enough, others will reason with you calmly, and you can reason with them without them. In fact, Jun Changshao had absolute confidence in letting Xiao Ziji smash Haoqi Sect's plaque. It wasn't just a simple death. At worst, he would use the plaque in exchange for not cleaning Ironbone's latrines. Wang Donglin saw his intention, so he cooperated and stood up to be a peacemaker. Qin Haoran, who had the intention to kill, forced himself to calm down. He gritted his teeth and said unwillingly, "Cancel the stakes." He agreed. He gave in. As long as the stakes were cancelled, he didn't have to fulfill his promise, and he wouldn't lose his reputation. In this way, Jun Changshao seemed to be angry when he let Xiao Ziji smash the plaque, but it gave Qin Haoran an excuse not to clean Ironbone's latrines. Some people would say that the plaque representing dignity was smashed, so why care about it? Wouldn't it be better to just kill Jun Changshao and scatter flowers? Kill. Wang Donglin and Ai Shanka had to agree. One represented Songshan Sect, the other represented Ai clan. Qin Haoran knew that it was impossible to kill Jun Changshao. What's more, there were so many martial artists watching the show. They all saw that their sect was beaten 4-0, and they had already lost the challenge. If they killed that kid, what would the Jianghu people say about them? This was the trouble of self-proclaimed righteous sections. They had to take everything into consideration. If it was an evil sect, he wouldn't care so much. If you offend me, I'll kill you and your entire family. Of course, if it was really a heretical sect, Jun Changshao would definitely find another way to deal with it. What kind of tricks? The unstoppable blade was unsealed, representing justice and killing all demons and monsters. Alliance head Qin. Jun Changshao smiled innocently and said, "Since the bet is invalid, what's the point of your disciples drawing their swords?" Qin Haoran suppressed his anger and said in a deep voice, "Withdraw your sword and retreat." The disciples of the Haoqi sect obeyed the order of the sect master. They sheathed their swords and returned to their original positions. They could only glare to express their anger. Clang! Clang! Li Qingyang and the others also withdrew their swords and retreated behind the sect leader. The tense atmosphere suddenly weakened a lot, and the martial artists who were watching the fun were full of admiration for the Ironbone sect's sect leader. He had smashed the Haoqi sect's signboard and was still safe and sound. He was really amazing. Alliance head Qin. Jun Changshao cupped his hands and said, "For wins out of 7, my Ironbone sect has won 4 rounds, so there's no need to continue the competition. I'll take my leave first." Yi Xingchen was dumbfounded. Leaving just like that? I haven't even appeared yet. Alliance head Qin, who had gradually calmed down, said coldly, "Sect leader Jun, although my Haoqi sect has lost, since there are 7 rounds, we must win all of them. Otherwise, it's against the rules of Jianghu. 04. Unbearable. They had to win the next 3 rounds. That way, they wouldn't lose so much face in Jianghu." "Well," Jun Changshao said. "Alliance head Qin, I'm afraid that if we continue to fight, your Haoqi sect will lose 07. Why don't we just forget about it? It'll be easier to talk when we meet in the future." Everyone almost fell down. You even broke their sect's signboard. You'll be lucky if you don't draw your sword when you meet in the future. You still expect to sit down and chat? 07? Qin Haoran suppressed his anger and said with a cold face, "You underestimate my Haoqi sect too much. Insist on fighting again? Insist on fighting again." Jun Changshao shrugged and said, "Since Alliance head Qin doesn't mind losing face, let's continue to fight." "Right," he said with a smile. "Do you want to add some stakes?" Qin Haoran said angrily, "My Haoqi sect has already lost. How can we add stakes? The first 4 rounds won't count as a warm-up. The last 3 rounds will be decided by 2 wins. What do you think?" Jun Changshao said. Wang Donglin and Ai Shang were stunned. The victory was already in their hands, but they didn't count and decided to decide the winner again. What kind of show was sect leader Jun playing? The big shots of the alliance and the martial artists from all sides were also stunned. Was he crazy? Qin Haoran was also a little confused, but he quickly reacted. Afraid that guy would change his mind, he said, "Okay, the first 4 rounds won't count. The last 3 rounds will decide the winner. How about this?" Jun Changshao said, "Let's not play with stakes like cleaning the stables or cleaning the latrines. Let's do something more practical. Whoever loses will pay 10 million taels." 10 million taels? Everyone's eyes widened. This amount was definitely an astronomical figure for the 8th and 9th-rate sects and small families. Even the 7th-rate sects and big families would suffer a great loss. Qin Haoran said disdainfully. Sect leader Jun. My Haoqi sect can take out 10 million taels. I'm afraid your iron bone doesn't have the financial resources, right? If I lose, I have to lend it out even if I have to. Jun Changshao said. Isn't that right, Master AI? AI Shang was stunned and hurriedly said. If sect leader Jun needs help, my AI family is willing to lend you 10 million taels. The big shot's eyes widened again. What was the relationship between Iron Bone and the AI family that made Master AI willing to lend them money so easily? And 10 million taels at that. It had to be said that AI Shang came to support Jun Changshao. He was definitely supporting Rigud. Okay, Qin Haoran said. The stakes are 10 million taels. Shua shua. The disciples of Haoqi sect spread out again and surrounded half of the arena. Jun Changshao said. Alliance Master Qin, please send someone to fight. Qin Haoran waved his hand. The second direct disciple, who had reached the peak of martial disciple, with a high-grade spirit root walked out. At this time, the strongest disciples of Haoqi sect were only left with him, and another grade 1 martial master. So Qin Haoran had high hopes for them. Jun Changshao touched his chin and said, as long as we win 2 more rounds, we will eat chicken tonight. After a pause he said, Qingyang, go on stage. Yes. Li Qingyang stepped out. My son. Just as he took 2 steps out, Master Li said solemnly, Father is watching. The ancestors of the Li family are watching. Who? Li Qingyang took a deep breath and said, Father, I will let you see that in the recruitment of 100 sect, the choice your son made is the best decision of his life. Looking at his son's firm and unyielding back, Master Li couldn't help but cry, and his voice trembled as he said, My son, Father has already seen it. Father is extremely proud of you as a disciple of the Iron Bone School. Ta! At this time, Li Qingyang had stopped in the center of the arena. With his back to his father, he said in a loud voice, Iron Bone Li Qingyang. Chapter 155. Vashchi Sect, Xian Yongyang. The Vashchi Sect disciple who walked to the center of the field announced his name. This person was second only to a first-grade martial master in the sect. His overall strength was also stronger than Hu Zheng's. Although he was strong, he was not much stronger. After all, they were both peak martial disciples. As long as they did not become martial masters, the difference between them was only about 2,000 to 3,000 pounds. Begin! The referee shouted. Xian Yongyang rushed forward for the sake of the sect leader and the glory of the sect. His spiritual energy burst out. Not only did it gather around his body, but it also protected several important acupuncture points and poured into his palms. Swish, swish, swish. In an instant he attacked with both palms. His spiritual energy whizzed out and formed palm prints accompanied by a whistling sound. This was the tiger roaring dragon palm. It was a unique palm technique in the Vashchi sect that had reached the upper middle class. This technique was divided into the tiger roaring palm and the dragon roaring palm. They could be used separately or together to form a tiger and dragon roar. Xian Yongyang had been practicing this palm technique since he entered the sect. When combined with the spiritual energy of a peak martial disciple, once used, the air waves and air friction created a tiger and dragon roaring sound. Swish, swish. The left palm print like a dragon, and right tiger swept over like the roar of a dragon and a tiger. It attracted the praise of all the elders. They all agreed that this person's understanding of palm techniques had reached perfection. He deserved to be called a genius with an upper-grade spiritual root. How would the Iron Bone Li Qingyang deal with this? Swish! While everyone was thinking, Li Qingyang stepped forward and attacked with a rupturing fist. Obviously, he wanted to fight the tiger roaring dragon palm head-on. Bang! 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 Their fists and palms collided. The air was filled with energy waves forming circles of ripples. In a few seconds, Li Qingyang and Xian Yongyang had exchanged more than 10 moves. From the situation, it seemed that they were evenly matched. That's right. This is a normal fight. The previous 4 fights were not fierce at all. We came all the way here to watch the show. Bang! 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 The two exchanged more than 10 moves, and then tacitly separated, keeping a certain distance. Li Qingyang's face was calm. Xian Yongyang frowned and loosened his palms, trying to relieve the numbness from the collision. Vast Qi Sect's disciples have suffered a loss, Wang Donglin said. Qin Haoran also noticed this, and his face became gloomy again. Is my Vast Qi Sect going to lose this competition again? Look, you've already lost your confidence, yet you still insist on licking your face and continuing to fight. You even agreed to bet 10 million taels. Is there something wrong with your brain? It didn't matter if he lost this round. His Iron Bone's strongest disciple Li Qingyang had already entered the arena. The disciples sent out for the next 2 matches would definitely not be strong. As long as he won the next 2 matches, he would still be able to win. Shua. Shua. Li Qingyang and Xian Yongyang started fighting again. The two of them did not disappoint the onlookers. They were entangled in a fierce battle. This was normal. Previously, if he wasn't kicking, he would be smashing his chrysanthemum. It was as if he was hitting a sandbag. It was a one-sided battle. What fun was there to watch? Bang! 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 The sound of explosions and the roars of tigers and dragons resounded in the martial arts field. Li Qingyang and Xian Yongyang were fighting faster and more fiercely. Jun Changshao held his hands together and murmured. Qingyang didn't choose to end the battle quickly. He probably wants to use this peak-level martial disciple as a sparring partner. Bang! At this moment, the sound of explosions could be heard. Li Qingyang's fist, which contained more than 20,000 jin of strength, hit Xian Yongyang's palm, causing him to stagger back a few steps. The Vast Qi Sect's disciple is at a disadvantage. Li Qingyang is really strong to fight against Xian Yongyang, who used the tiger roaring and dragon roaring palm. On the spiritual spring mountain, defeating the inner disciple of the sacred spring sect was definitely not a fluke. Everyone praised Li Qingyang. Why? Because his moves were open and aboveboard, and he fought very elegantly. Unlike the Iron Bone disciples in the previous 4 matches, they either kicked the temple or used dirty moves like chrysanthemum. Hearing everyone talking about his son, the head of the Li family proudly puffed out his chest, his face full of pride. Xian Yongyang struggled to stabilize his body, his face slightly pale. His right palm was swollen with pain and numbness. It seemed that the attack was not light. Swoosh! Li Qingyang stepped forward, condensed the rupturing fist and attacked again. This time, he did not give Xian Yongyang any chance to breathe. He attacked frequently, and finally, Xian Yongyang could only block and retreat, and then, he was beaten out of the martial arts field. Iron Bone won another round. Including the previous 4 matches that were cancelled, it was 5-0. Jun Changshao was not surprised that Li Qingyang won. Among the 7 inner disciples of the Iron Bone, Su Xiaoma and Li Fei were proficient in body movement and leg strength. Xiao Ziji refined his body to the extreme, and Lu Qianqian's spiritual power was boundless. Although Li Qingyang did not have any dazzling advantages, he did not have any obvious shortcomings either. He was an all-round and balanced development. What's more, among the inner disciples, his cultivation was currently the highest, having broken through to the 7th rank martial disciple. Hu Zheng, a peak martial disciple, was knocked unconscious by Xiao Ziji. It would be strange if the 2nd disciple could not defeat Xian Yongyang, who was also a peak martial disciple. Not to mention Jun Changshao. Even the spectators were not surprised by Li Qingyang's victory. His performance was too perfect, too impeccable. Su Xiaoma and the others won the first 4 matches. It felt like the plot had reversed, and Li Qingyang's victory was natural. Wang Donglin commented, "This disciple is not as outstanding as the previous disciples, but he is very stable." Aya. Jun Changshao cupped his hands and said, "Alliance Master Qin, if my Iron Bone wins the next match, your Hao Qi sect will have to take out 10 million taels." "Humph," Qin Haoran said coldly. "Sect leader Jun, if all your Iron Bone disciples sent out, can you compete with my next disciple? All the elites? Are you looking down on me?" Yi Xingchen, who was behind him, pulled a long face and said in a low voice, "Sect leader, I will fight the next match." When he came to the Hao Qi sect, he wanted to fight. He even planned to fight one by one. "Yes," Jun Changshao said. "Go. Kacha kacha." Yi Xingqian clenched his fists and shook his head, as if he was not afraid of breaking his neck. His eyes flashed coldly. Qin Haoran said indifferently, Pei Jun, you go. Remember, you must win. Yes. The personal disciple named Pei Jun walked out. His body was surrounded by vigorous spiritual power. Obviously, he was the strongest disciple of the Haoqi sect. Alliance Master Qin finally sent out a martial master level personal disciple. That Iron Bone disciple looks like a 5th or 6th rank martial disciple. He has no hope of winning. In my opinion, sect leader Jun's plan is to let the strong disciple take the lead, and then let the weak disciple be the cannon fodder. Cannon fodder? Yi Xingqian was furious. If this emperor still had the cultivation of his previous life, this group of lowly ants would be crushed in the palm of his hand. Their souls would scatter, and they would never be reincarnated. As expected of the Night Emperor, his way of thinking was too terrifying. Pei Jun walked to the center of the area first. He cupped his hands and said, Haoqi sect Pei Jun. Yi Xingqian said indifferently, Don't talk nonsense. Let's start. TSK, this cannon fodder is quite arrogant. Doesn't he know that Pei Jun is the strongest personal disciple of the Haoqi sect? Using the weakest to defeat the strongest, even if he loses, it will be worth it. Every word of the crowd's discussion was clearly heard by Yi Xingqian. The anger in his body roared and filled his eyes. It was as if 2 balls of fire were rising. Pei Jun was secretly shocked. This guy's eyes are so scary. Yi Xingqian turned to look at the referee and shouted angrily, Hurry up and start. I can't wait anymore. This temper. Start. The referee shouted. As soon as the referee finished speaking, Pei Jun rushed over. His hands reached behind him, and spiritual power gathered in his palms. He was about to, shua. Yi Xingqian suddenly appeared on the left side and said coldly, Kid, you're too slow. Bang. Chapter 156. Not only did Pei Jun have a high-grade spiritual root, but he was also a martial master. For many martial disciples, this was like an insurmountable mountain because of the difference in cultivation level. If it had been Li Qingyang, Xiao Zuiji and the others, who were martial disciples, they would have been able to defeat Pei Jun. However, if they were to face Pei Jun, it would be extremely difficult for them to win. Martial masters were also known as the spirit manipulation stage. Martial artists at this stage were already very good at using and controlling spiritual power. And for a martial disciple to defeat a martial master, Jun Changshao was probably the only one who could do it. Yes, he defeated the 5th grade martial master Li Luoqiu. However, he also relied on the strength-increasing talisman, and did not have the support of this thing. In the end, he was captured and whipped. Was it really that hard for a martial disciple to defeat a martial master? For others it was as hard as climbing the sky, but for Yi Xingqian it was very easy. Bang! He took advantage of the moment when Pei Jun rushed over to his left side, condensed his spiritual power, and punched his opponent's waist. Fast, accurate, and ruthless. Wang Donglin was shocked. This kid is so fast. How could he not be fast? This was something that the Night Varch had racked his brains to recall. In his previous life, he had once cultivated a movement technique called the crossing dragon steps. Why did he think so hard? Because in his previous life, Yi Xingqian practiced too many martial skills. After he became a martial emperor, he must have focused on the holy and divine level. So he naturally ignored the lower level martial skills. Crossing dragon steps was not very good, but with Night Emperor's current cultivation level, he could use it to practice again. As for the holy and divine level martial skills, he had to rely on spiritual power. With his current cultivation level, he could not use them at all. This showed us how powerful the Yi Jinjing and Ling Jian's divine technique were. Low-level martial artists could completely ignore the cultivation level in practice. Thump thump thump. Pei Jun, who was hit, took a few steps back. His waist was numb, which slightly hindered the use of spiritual power in his meridians. Yi Xingqian hit the area close to the dantian. Although it was not as extreme as the Taiyang and Baihui acupoints, as long as it was injured, it would definitely affect the use of spiritual power. An expert was indeed an expert. As long as the opponent's cultivation level was not too high, with his previous life's martial arts experience, coupled with a high-grade spiritual root, wouldn't it be easy for him to defeat a first-grade martial master? Earlier, when Zhang Xian had confidently declared that he would be able to deal with this matter himself, he wasn't joking around with his life. This emperor was once one of the 10 great martial emperors. As long as the cultivation of my spiritual roots increases, no one in this world can do anything to me. Trash, Yi Xingqian arrogantly said. Don't waste my time. Hurry up and attack. Domineering aura leaked out. Pei Jun's eyes flashed with anger. To be looked down upon by a martial disciple. What dignity did a martial master have left? Shua, he rushed over using his movement technique, and immediately used the Roaring Tiger and Roaring Dragon palm. In terms of strength and speed, it was obviously stronger than Xi and Yongyang's. When Li Qingyang faced this move, he chose to use brute force to resist it. Yi Xingqian's method was to use a mysterious movement technique to move between his palms. After his spiritual root was upgraded to a high-grade spiritual root, the coordination between his soul and body had increased. With his sharp eyes, as long as he caught the opponent's movement, he could predict and dodge. This, Wang Donglin's eyes widened. It was unbelievable that a martial disciple could dodge to such an extreme extent. Pei Jun, who used the Roaring Tiger and Roaring Dragon palm, was shocked. No matter how frequently he changed his moves, no matter how tricky the angle was, the opponent could easily dodge. After dozens of moves, he couldn't even touch the corner of the opponent's clothes. A blow. A heavy blow. This disciple is really strong. Judging from his movement technique, he doesn't seem like a martial disciple. No wonder he came out so late. Iron Bone has an even better disciple. All the big shots were amazed. Gold would always shine. Yi Xingqian, whose spiritual root and cultivation level had increased, used his strength to prove that he was worthy of the title of Knight Emperor in his previous life. This guy is really something. Jun Changxiao was also very surprised. He let Yi Xingqian be the second last to come out, because he might have practiced a mental cultivation method above the divine grade. However, he didn't expect his movement technique and judgment to be so excellent. Swish swish. In the battle area, palm strikes were continuously performed. The roaring of the tiger and the roaring of the dragon continued. The more Pei Jun fought, the more exhausted he became, because his opponent seemed to have seen through his every move and dodged perfectly. Kid. Yi Xingqian dodged his attack and stood beside him. He said calmly, "Are you desperate?" Desperate. Bang! Knight Emperor gathered his spiritual energy again and punched the side of Pei Jun's waist. It was the same old position. Thump thump thump. Pei Jun took a few steps back. His face was twisted. Because of his injury, it was difficult for him to gather spiritual energy in his meridians. Qin Haoran was stunned. After a while he lost his mind and roared again. "You can't lose this battle. You must win for me." At this moment, Yi Xingqian appeared in front of Pei Jun. Bang! Bang! Exploding fist was performed. His strength exceeded 20,000 kilograms and hit the same position on his opponent's chest. Because the punch was too fast, Pei Jun didn't have time to retreat. He took more than 10 punches and staggered back. A mouthful of blood flowed from his throat. It's over. Many martial artists were guessing. However, Yi Xingqian didn't stop there. He followed up with the crossing dragon and performed another exploding fist. Bang! 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 After another round of bombardment, Pei Jun finally fell to the ground. His face was extremely pale. Obviously, he had suffered serious internal injuries. Swish! Yi Xingqian stepped on his face and tilted his head to look at Qin Haoran. With a cold gaze he said, "When? He's not qualified." What was arrogance? Stepping on the beloved disciple of the patriarch in front of him was arrogance. First Xiao Ziji smashed the plaque. Then, Yi Xingqian stepped on the face of the strongest disciple. Today, the dignity of vast spirit sect was completely lost. Qin Haoran clenched his fists. His eyes turned red. Obviously, he was extremely angry. The disciples of vast spirit sect were also glaring at him. TSK. Yi Xingqian kicked the seriously injured Pei Jun out of the arena. he said disdainfully. A bunch of trash. At this point Ironbone won again. The score was 6-0. Even if the first 4 matches didn't count, Vast Spirit Sect still lost. Sigh. Jun Changshao spread his hands and said, Alliance Master Qin, I said before that there's no need to fight anymore. Now not only did we lose 2 matches, but we also lost 10 million taels. Puff. Qin Haoran spat out blood again. This time Ironbone came to fight. Not only did Vast Spirit Sect lose, but they also lost their dignity. It was extremely tragic. When the martial artists expressed their sympathy, they also looked at Ironbone in a new light. Wang Donglin walked forward and said, Ironbone won 2 of the last 3 matches. In my opinion, there's no need to fight anymore. Let's honor the bet and end it here. No. Jun Changshao said. Since it's the rule of the martial world, Alliance Master Qin wants to finish all 7 matches. As he said that, he waved his hand and said, Qianqian, come on. Lu Qianqian didn't say anything and walked out. Qin Haoran, who was furious, saw that the opponent was a woman. He said hatefully, he run fight. Yes. The one called Hiran walked out. He had a middle-grade spiritual root, and his cultivation was only an 8th-grade martial disciple. It couldn't be helped. Vast Spirit Sect's 9th-grade martial disciple and upper-grade spiritual root disciple both fought, and they were all defeated. They sent a woman for the last match. Are they deliberately humiliating Vast Spirit Sect? Vast Spirit Sect is furious. If this girl's strength isn't good enough, she'll definitely be beaten up. Everyone was obviously overthinking. Because when the referee announced the start of the match, it was already over. The small fists formed by spiritual power ravaged like a storm. The personal disciple called Hiran fell to the ground and vomited blood. Among the 7 matches, this match was the fastest. All the martial artists' eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the hidden mission. Complete victory. You've gained 200 contribution points. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the hidden mission. First glimpse. You've gained 300 contribution points. Ding! Sect contribution points. 610500. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the hidden mission. First glimpse. You've triggered the hidden reward, the right to purchase the aptitude modification liquid. It has been transferred to the purchase goods column. Ding! There are excess sect contribution points. The host must spend them within 24 hours. Otherwise, the excess contribution points will be automatically deducted. Chapter 157. When Lu Qianqian won the last match in the shortest time, she triggered and completed 2 hidden missions. Beating Hao Qi Sect 7-0, this is called a complete victory. The 7 disciples' performance shocked everyone present. This is called showing the sect's prowess for the first time. Jun Changxiao's lips curled up into a smile when he heard the beautiful system notification. Especially when he heard that the hidden reward of the second hidden mission was the aptitude modification liquid. He smiled even more happily. Opening the purchased item column, he clicked on the details. Sure enough, the new aptitude modification liquid is suitable for high-grade spirit roots. After taking it, it can be upgraded to supreme-grade spirit roots. What made Jun Changxiao collapse was that the price was 300 contribution points. Damn it! Is this a joke? The system said. High-grade and supreme-grade is a dividing line. It's normal for it to be more expensive. Suitable for mid-grade spirit roots 50 points. Suitable for high-grade spirit roots 300 points. More expensive my ass. Originally, Jun Changxiao planned to use the excess contribution points on the aptitude modification liquid. But after seeing the price, he quickly dispelled the idea. Too expensive. Can't afford it. Not to mention that he is now a peak martial disciple. With the epic mission suppressing the realm, even if he bought it and used it to upgrade to supreme-grade spirit roots, his level wouldn't benefit. Good steel should be used on the blade. After breaking through to martial master, it won't be too late to upgrade the spirit roots. The system said with emotion. The host's brain circuit is really clear and not messy. Of course, Jun Changxiao didn't plan to buy the expensive one. He first bought 2 bottles of mid-grade aptitude modification liquid for Su Xiaoma, Tianqi and the others. Ding! Host spent 100 contribution points. Obtained aptitude modification liquid X2. Has been transferred to the interspatial ring. Ding! Sect contribution points. 510,500. As an obsessive-compulsive patient, Jun Changshao couldn't tolerate an extra 10 contribution points. Get rid of it. Xiao. He fiercely pulled down the store. Ding! Sect contribution points. 500,500. N. This is neat, this is comfortable. Jun Changshao didn't have time to look at the new items one by one. He just casually glanced, and found that the first row of the first row was actually a weapon named God-modified, Green Dragon Crescent Blade. Green Dragon Crescent Blade? Isn't this Guan Yu's weapon? Jun Changshao hurriedly clicked on the detailed introduction. The content was item, God-modified Green Dragon Crescent Blade. Introduction. The weapon used by Wuxia's Guan Yu weighs 82 jin, and has killed many generals. Strength. After divine modification, it is suitable for the world of martial arts. The blade is hard and powerful. Weakness. Must have taken the body-shaping pill, otherwise, it will be difficult to use it freely. Moreover, its power depends on one's cultivation realm. Special effect. Summon the soul of Wuxiang. Duration, 30 minutes. Cooldown, 24 hours. Price, 200 contribution points. Level unknown. Don't understand? Jun Changshao frowned. What do you mean? The system said. The power of the Green Dragon Crescent Blade depends on the level of the user, so it is impossible to give an accurate rating. So this is what it means to be a growth-type weapon. You can interpret it that way. Jun Changshao did not consider it, and clicked on the purchase button. After opening the shop, there was only the beginner-grade cold-edge sword. This time, under his obsessive-compulsive disorder, there was a second one, and it was a weapon used by Guan Yu. He definitely couldn't miss it. What's more, it was a God-modified weapon with special effects. Ding! The host has spent 200 contribution points and obtained the God-modified Green Dragon Crescent Blade X1. It has been transferred to the space ring. Ding! Sect contribution points. 300500. 610 contribution points, 310 of which were spent in one go. Jun Changshao realized that he could do whatever he wanted with money. This was not the time to look at the Green Dragon Crescent Blade. He cupped his hands and smiled. Alliance Master Qin, the 7 matches are over. I am in a hurry to go home and eat chicken. Is it time to redeem the prize? Everyone's mouth twitched. 10 million taels, that was a huge sum. Even if the vast spirit sect took it out, they would have to cut their meat. Qin Haoran's anger could no longer be described with words. If looks could kill, our great leader Jun would have died 10,000 times. Everyone. Jun Changshao shrugged. It seems that Alliance Master Qin does not intend to redeem his promise. Is he still the leader of a sect? Is he still the Alliance Master? Jun Changshao. Qin Haoran's eyes were about to split open. You and I have a match. With so many people watching, he was willing to accept his loss. However, he was also on the verge of going crazy. He needed to fight with Jun Changshao to vent his anger and resentment. Ding! Side mission activated. A mission came? Jun Changshao opened the data panel. Side mission. Defeat the sect leader of the vast spirit sect, Qin Haoran 0 of 1, elite mission. Wang Donglin said. Alliance Master Qin, you are a wuzong. Challenging a martial disciple is a bit of a bully. When he defeated Shen Tong in the life and death arena in Qingyang City, Alliance Master Qin was still a peak martial master. Later, he broke through before going to the Spirit Spring Mountain. Jun Changshao peeked through his sunglasses and learned that he was a first-grade wuzong. Not too strong but acceptable. Humph. Qin Haoran said coldly. Elder Wang. Sect leader Jun came to challenge my vast spirit sect. What is wrong with this Qin looking for him? There was nothing wrong with this. Wang Donglin was silent. Ai Shang lowered his voice and said, Sect leader Jun, you can refuse the challenge. Yes. City Lord Xie said. Your Iron Bone sect defeated Vast Spirit Sect 7-0. It was a great victory. Even if you don't accept the challenge, no one will say anything. The two of them advised with good intentions. After all, Wuzong was too strong. It was impossible for a martial disciple to win against him. Sect leader. After Yi Xingchen returned to his seat, he said, "Quit while you are ahead." Even the arrogant and domineering Knight Emperor said so. It was obvious that there was a huge gap between a martial disciple and a Wuzong. It was not something that could be decided by skills and experience alone. Sect leader Jun, why didn't you accept Alliance Master Qin's challenge? Are you brave enough to let your disciples fight, but not brave enough to accept the challenge? Since they are here to exchange pointers, there must be a fight between sect leaders. If you don't have the confidence to defeat Alliance Master Qin, I think you should just admit defeat. At this time, the big shots of the alliance started to make their presence known. It seemed that the face slapping by the 7 disciples of Iron Bone wasn't enough to make them feel good. The defeat of Vast Spirit Sect 7-0 was indeed a slap to the big shots of the alliance. But this time, they were willing to put their faces on the ground and let everyone step on them. They didn't think Jun Changshao could defeat Wuzong's Qin Haoran. Kid, don't be a coward. Go and fight Alliance Master Qin. The big shots of all the sects were eager for Jun Changshao to accept the challenge. They wanted to see how Jun Changshao would be defeated by Alliance Master Qin. City Lord Xie knew what these people were thinking. He hurriedly advised, "Sect leader Jun, don't be provoked. Reject the challenge and take back the prize. Returning to Iron Bone is the best plan." Jun Changshao thought for a while and said, "Alliance Master Qin, I can accept the challenge. I think we should use weapons to decide the winner. What do you think?" City Lord Xie felt a little dizzy. If he accepted the challenge, then he would accept it. Why would he use weapons? Did he think he wouldn't lose enough? Use weapons? Qin Haoran was also stunned. He immediately sneered and said, "Sect leader Jun, weapons have no eyes. I'm afraid Jun will hurt you." "It's normal for martial artists to get injured and bleed in a fight," Jun Changshao said. "Okay," Qin Haoran said. "Let's use weapons to decide the winner." As he spoke, he was about to walk onto the training field. Jun Changshao reached out to stop him and said with a smile, "Alliance Master Qin, I'm afraid there will be an accident. Please hand over the prize for the disciples' exchange." Qin Haoran's face suddenly became very ugly. 10 million taels of blood. Forget it, forget it. Just take it as spending this money to buy this kid's 2 hands. Chapter 158. Outside the arena, everyone was staring at Qin Haoran, because he was holding a thick stack of banknotes. Because there were so many banknotes, several disciples standing behind him had to help him carry them. 10 million taels. This was really a huge sum. Jun Changshao said, "Alliance Master Qin is really a man of his words. I admire you very much, but can you let go of your hand?" Qin Haoran handed over the money and didn't let go. He couldn't pull it away. Judging from the frequency of his facial muscles trembling, he must be heartbroken. Haochi Sect didn't have many businesses. They just relied on their status as the Alliance Master to earn some extra money. They worked hard to save some money. No one would be able to take out so much money at once. But was money important or dignity important? With Qin Haoran's personality, dignity was definitely more important. After a fierce struggle in his heart, he still let go of his hand and gave Jun Changshao the banknotes. After giving them, he suppressed the pain and turned to leave. He was afraid that he wouldn't be able to resist snatching them again. He regretted it so much, so much. If he could turn back time and return to the time before the disciples fought, even if he couldn't change the outcome, he wouldn't add any bullshit prizes. He was the one who suggested adding prizes. Jun Changshao didn't even think about it. He dug a hole for himself and jumped into it happily. No one could pull him back. Under the gaze of countless people, Jun Changshao counted the banknotes while dipping his finger in his saliva. After confirming that it was 10 million taels, he smiled and put it into his spatial ring. He earned contribution points and made money again. This trip to Haochi Sect, he could honestly say that it was worth it. Li Qingyang behind him began to think. Now that the sect master had money, he would definitely want to reform the sect. He should go back and draft a plan in advance. Look, he didn't need Sect Master Jun's arrangement at all. He took the initiative to integrate into the role of internal affairs. Just this awareness alone was worthy of praise. Qin Haoran returned to the opposite side with his heart bleeding. He released the anger in his body again and said angrily, "Sect Master Jun, can we fight now?" The disciple lost. He lost his dignity and lost 10 million taels. If he could keep smiling, he would be a monster. Yes, Jun Changshao replied. Just as he was about to step out, City Lord Xie advised, "Sect Master Jun, please reconsider." Yeah. Ai Shang squinted and said solemnly, "Alliance Master Qin is in a fit of anger right now. If you guys still fight with weapons, something bad will definitely happen." Jun Changshao said, "Jun is very grateful that the two of you are so concerned about Jun. But please rest assured that since I have accepted the challenge, I am confident." What confidence did a martial disciple have in fighting Wuzong? Furthermore, it was a competition of weapons. As the leader of a sect, even if Qin Haoran's grade was not too high, he would definitely have a middle-grade weapon. His cultivation base was too low. Weapons were no good. City Lord Xie and family head Ai couldn't see where the so-called confidence came from. "Sect Master Jun, are you scared? It's not too late to regret now. Alliance head Qin has already honored the bet. It would be a joke if he regrets it." The Alliance's big shots mocked and ridiculed. Sect leader Jun ignored them and walked out, standing in the middle of the martial arts practice field. Judging from his aura, Sect Master Jun is at most a peak martial disciple. He dares to fight Wuzong's Alliance head Qin. What a brave man. Alliance head Qin lost so miserably. He will definitely start a Sect Master battle. Since he came to Haoqi Sect, he must be prepared. Swords have no eyes. I'm afraid there will be blood. The martial artists who were watching the show discussed. They guessed that Haoqi Sect had lost face and money this time. If Qin Haoran lost his mind, he might kill Jun Changshao. They underestimated Alliance head Qin too much. Although he was incomparably angry, with Blue Mountain Sect and Ai family supporting him, he wouldn't kill him. At most, he would cut off his hands. Even if they could be reattached, it would definitely affect his martial arts. Killing was the worst thing to do. The best thing to do was to make that kid unable to make any progress in martial arts. Qin Haoran also walked over. He opened his palms and the space rippled slightly. A pair of iron maces appeared out of thin air. They were light gold in color, and the word fan was engraved under the handle. Master Fan made weapons. Everyone exclaimed. A weapon made by a top master blacksmith in Falling Star Continent would definitely attract a lot of attention. Master Fan mainly made swords and sabers. He has only made maces once in his life. Could it be? A martial artist exclaimed. These are the upper-grade early-stage soul-reaping maces. Everyone's eyes were suddenly filled with passion and envy. To have a middle-grade weapon made by Master Fan was worth bragging about for a lifetime. Alliance head Qin had an upper-grade weapon, and it was a maces that he had only made once in his life. Wang Donglin said, "This is a blunt weapon made by Master Fan from 1,000-years-old heavy iron. After pouring spiritual power into it, it will vibrate. If you take it head-on, the weapon will shatter if light, and the mind will be damaged if heavy. That's why it's called the soul-reaping maces." He seemed to be talking to himself, but in fact, he was talking to Jun Changshao, so that he could understand the weapon well enough to adjust his tactics in time. Adjust my ass. The other party has taken out upper-grade weapons. Sect Master Jun will definitely lose. Maybe his soul will be damaged by the vibrations. City Lord Xie and Ai family thought to themselves. Jun Changshao thought to himself, these soul-reaping maces are much stronger than Wei Inu's defective golden dragon saber. Sect Master Jun Qin Haoran said indifferently, "Please take out your weapon." Whoosh! Jun Changshao took a deep breath and raised his right hand, gently opening his 5 fingers. Buzz! The space became slightly blurry, and a long weapon gradually appeared. It was only when Qin Haoran's 5 fingers grasped the handle that it became clear. It was a huge saber that was 2 meters long. The blade took up a quarter of the saber, and the rest was the handle. The saber was dark green, and there was a dragon beast opening at the handle that connected to the blade. On both sides of the blade, there was a lifelike azure dragon. Under the sunlight, the blade flashed with a sharp light, revealing a majestic aura. This was the weapon used by Wuxia's Guan Yinchang Green Dragon Crescent Blade. Good saber, Wang Donglin praised. When City Lord Xie and AI Family Lord saw the Green Dragon Crescent Blade, they understood what Sect Master Jun meant. This saber must be extraordinary. The word Guan is carved on the handle. I don't think there are any blacksmiths with the surname Guan in the Falling Star continent, right? Judging from the aura of the weapon, it doesn't seem to be any weaker than Alliance Master Qin's soul-snatching double maces. Everyone discussed in low voices. They were sincerely envious of the sect master of an 8th-rate sect for having such a powerful weapon. When the Green Dragon Crescent Blade appeared, Jun Changxiao grasped the cold handle of the blade, and a feeling of longing for his loved ones surged into his heart. Although he wasn't born in the era of the Three Kingdoms, and had never met the righteous Guan Yunchang, he was still a Wuxia citizen. Today he was using his weapon in another world. He was proud. Come on. As if disturbed by the loyalty and righteousness in the weapon, Jun Changxiao said with a majestic aura, "Let's fight for 300 rounds." Swoosh. He swung his right arm and tried to lift the saber. Because of the inertia, his body leaned forward a lot, but the Green Dragon Crescent Blade didn't move at all. It was as heavy as Mount Tai. Strange. Did he use too little strength? He didn't lift it. Jun Changxiao tried a few more times, but his body followed. The saber seemed to be stuck in the ground, and he couldn't lift it no matter how hard he tried. Wang Donglin, AI Shang, Ironbone Sect Master. Caw crows flew across the sky, and the atmosphere became extremely awkward. He couldn't even lift his own weapon in front of so many people. What a disgrace! Jun Changxiao roared in his heart. What's going on? The system poured cold water on him. Although the Green Dragon Crescent Blade doesn't have a level, there should be a strength requirement. The host can't meet it, so it can't be used. Fuck. Whoosh. At this moment, Qin Haoran attacked with the two truncheons in his hands. Spiritual energy poured into the truncheons, and Jun Changxiao's eyes widened. Fuck boom. Chapter 159. Boom. A heavy sound came from the training field. The dust on the ground was blown up by the airwaves. Visibility was blocked. How terrifying. As expected of the weapon made by Master Fan, Alliance Master Qin's attack was powerful. If it was Wuzong at the same level, he wouldn't have been able to take it without strong defensive equipment. Sect Master Jun will be in trouble if he can't dodge it. Although visibility was blocked by the dust, the spectators saw that Jun Changxiao was still trying to lift the saber when Alliance Master Qin attacked. Was he joking with his life if he couldn't lift the saber he summoned? Soon, the dust dispersed. Everything was visible. Jun Changxiao was still standing on the spot. His face was ferocious, but he had lifted the saber and blocked Qin Haoran's soul-stealing twin truncheons. Wang Donglin frowned. The truncheons have the power of vibration. Sect Master Jun's mind must be affected. Xie Guangquan and AI Shangyao were worried. If Sect Master Jun's mind was affected, his combat ability would be affected. It was already hard for him to win. Now it was one disaster after another. Humph. The leader of the Long Blade faction sneered. That kid's saber is good, but it can't be compared to Alliance Master Qin's soul-stealing twin truncheons. Judging from his ferocious expression, his mind must have been affected by the collision. His arms must be numb now. The leader of the alliance was right. Jun Changxiao's arms were numb, but it wasn't because of the collision. It was because the saber was too heavy. My Lord Guan Yu, isn't your weapon 82 pounds heavy? Why does it feel like Monkey King's sea-stabilizing divine needle in my hand? The system said. After being modified, the Green Dragon Crescent Blade is no longer a normal weapon. Fine. Jun Changxiao gritted his teeth and took a few steps back. He kept a distance from Qin Haoran and then gasped for breath. Although the Green Dragon Crescent Blade was heavy, it was offset by the soul-stealing twin truncheons. In other words, Jun Changxiao's ferocious expression after receiving the truncheons wasn't because his mind was injured. It was because he was too tired to lift the saber. Then, Why was he able to lift the saber all of a sudden? Because when he said fuck, he crushed the strength-increasing talisman, and his strength instantly increased by 5 times. As a peak martial disciple, he had 5 times the strength, and could barely wield the green dragon crescent blade. It was obvious that the weapon was really heavy. It was because of its weight that it had such a majestic aura, and it was only then that it could counteract the power of the soul-seizing twin truncheons. If it was the primary grade cold-edge sword, not to mention whether it would break, the person would definitely be shaken to the point that his mouth would be crooked and his eyes would slanted. Sect Master Jun is very tired. It seems that the saber is quite heavy. You need to be able to wield the saber freely. It's so difficult for him to lift it up. It's useless to summon it. While the crowd was discussing, Qin Haoran did not show any mercy and attacked again with the soul-snatching truncheons. This time, he poured his spiritual energy into the truncheons and waved them down. Instantly, 2 golden streaks of light were drawn. 10,000 golden radiance. Whoosh! The soul-seizing twin maces came crashing down. With the infusion of spiritual energy, the golden light that was dragged out was dazzling, making all the spectators hold their breaths. He even used his martial techniques. Alliance Master Qin was serious this time. Wang Donglin's expression turned solemn as he thought to himself. Combining spiritual energy with weapons and martial arts, his strength will reach at least 200,000 jin. 200,000 jin. For martial disciples who only had a strength of 10,000 to 20,000, it was completely unimaginable. Whoosh! The truncheons slammed down with the golden light. The pressure of the force once again rolled up a fierce wind, blowing a few strands of Jun Changxiao's black hair into a mess. Damn it! I'll fight you to the death. Sect Master Jun held the saber with both hands and poured his spiritual energy into the saber. Blue veins popped out of his muscles as he angrily shouted, "Oath of the Peach Garden!" Hua, the green dragon crescent blade was swung up. Although the speed was slightly slow, it still dragged out a crescent-shaped cyan blade shadow. Boom! The sound of metal colliding with stone was heard. Thump! Thump! Qin Haoran held the truncheons and retreated quickly. The web between his thumb and index finger was numb from the shock. A crack appeared where the cyan blade had struck the weapon. How is this possible? My weapon is a high-grade weapon made by Master Fan. Moreover, it's a blunt weapon. Its hardness is much stronger than a sword. How could it be cut open with one strike? All the martial artists were dumbfounded. Shua! At this moment, Jun Changxiao rushed over with ghost leap steps. Blue veins bulged on his neck and forehead as he shouted, "Warm wine slaying Hua Xiong!" Whoosh! The green dragon crescent blade slammed down again. Relying on ghost leap steps' speed and inertia, the speed of the blade was much faster than before. Boom! The sound of metal colliding with stone was heard. Qin Haoran used his weapon to block the attack. His body was once again pushed back by the shock, and a blade mark appeared on the other truncheon. Man in Chao camp, heart in Han camp. Boom! Riding 1,000 miles alone. Boom! Facing the enemy alone. Boom! Everyone was stunned. They had never heard of such a strange saber move before. This was not a saber move. It was the various deeds of Guan Yu in the Romance of the Three Kingdoms. After slashing 3 times in a row, Jun Changxiao dragged Ghost Shadow and circled to the left side of Qin Haoran, who was constantly retreating. He rose into the air and slashed down with his saber. Loyal and righteous Guan Yinchang. Boom! Crack! Crack! After taking the 5th slash, Qin Haoran's truncheons were directly cut in half. Hiss! Seeing this, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. A high-grade weapon made by Master Fan. With the support of a Wuzong's spiritual energy, it was cut in half like chopsticks in just 5 slashes. This was simply terrifying. Shua! Although the truncheons were broken, the green dragon crescent blade's power did not diminish and slashed down. Not good. Qin Haoran turned pale with fright. He could not care less about his weapon and demeanor. He hurriedly used his movement technique to escape. Although his movements were fast, he still could not escape the blade aura that came first. With a poochie sound, a deep cut appeared on his back and blood gushed out. The burst of majestic momentum caused Qin Haoran to rush forward violently. In the end, he was forced out of the training field and fell to the ground with his face on the ground. This was because he ran fast. Otherwise, if he was hit by the green dragon crescent blade head-on, his body would definitely be cut in half. Clank. The two broken truncheons fell to the ground. Shua. Jun Changshao held the green dragon crescent blade in front of him, and the ground caved in from the impact. With his other hand, he stroked the 5 locks of long beard that pretended to exist under his chin and said arrogantly, "Thank you for letting me win." The entire training field was silent. Not only was Alliance Master Qin defeated, but his weapon was also broken and his back was cut. This was simply too frightening. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the side mission. You have received 200 Sect contribution points. Ding! Sect contribution points, 500,500. Chua. Jun Changshao kept the green dragon crescent blade in his interspatial ring, and said with cupped fists, "Alliance Master Qin, today I came to your sect to spar and discuss the Tao. Jun benefited a lot. I won't disturb you any longer." His disciples won, and he won too. Prestige, banknotes, and contribution points were all there. There was no point in staying here, so he left with his disciples in a carefree manner. Xia Guangquan, Ai Shangyao, and the others followed. They were worried that Haoqi sect wouldn't be able to swallow their anger and would block the door to prevent them from leaving. Watching Jun Changshao leave with his disciples, the expressions of the Alliance's big shots and martial artists froze. They felt as if they were in a dream. Haoqi sect had lost today. They had lost completely. They didn't even need to think about it. When the news spread in Azure Sun County, it would definitely cause a huge uproar. At that time, Ironbone's name would definitely resound throughout the 8 cities. Sigh. The Alliance's big shots sighed in frustration. Qin Haoran, who had sealed his wounds with spiritual energy to stop the blood from flowing, clenched his fists tightly and roared unwillingly, "Jun Changshao, my Haoqi sect and your Iron Bone are irreconcilable." Chapter 160. The 7 disciples were all defeated. The plaque in the main hall was broken, and they had to pay 10 million taels. The sect leader's weapon was broken, and he was also injured. All of the above was enough to show that the Grand Spirit sect was completely defeated today. Not only did they lose people and money, but they also lost the dignity of a 6th-rate sect. Jun Changshao, my Grand Spirit sect and your Iron Bone sect are irreconcilable. Qin Haoran endured the pain caused by the injury on his back. His eyes were bloodshot. He lost in the competition and lost face. However, all the martial artists were still watching. He had to say something ruthless, because this was the rule of Jianghu. If there weren't so many people here, Alliance leader Qin might have been lying on the ground with his head on his arm, crying like a child. Damn it. It hurt his pride too much. He couldn't accept it. There was nothing he could do. It was Jun Changshao who came to cause trouble, not him. He couldn't avoid it. He could only say that he brought this upon himself. The Spirit Spring sect hired bandits and assassins. They were in the wrong and were killed by Jun Changshao. Wouldn't it be better if he pretended not to know? He had to kneel and lick the Holy Spring sect's boots, and bring the Alliance members to the Star Moon Pavilion for a trial. There was nothing wrong with Qin Haoran kneeling and licking a 5th-rate sect, but he had to fan the flames in front of the 3 elders of the Holy Spring sect. Jun Changshao had to deal with this kind of person. If he didn't do anything, it would only make things worse. Sect leader Jun didn't play any tricks. He just brought his disciples to challenge you and defeated you in front of everyone. He stepped on your dignity. Who could find fault with that? Old Tai, there was nothing wrong with that. At the foot of the Grand Spirit sect, Jun Changshao, who had just walked down, felt his body go soft. He swayed and collapsed. Xiao Ziji was quick to react. He hurriedly supported him and asked worriedly, "Sect leader, are you okay?" I'm fine." Jun Changshao's face was pale. He said weakly, "Let's go back to the sect." Wang Donglin, who was following behind, said, "Sect leader Jun's saber should not be low. High grade." He used it forcefully with a martial disciple cultivation. but his body didn't collapse. It's really lucky. Jun Changshao fell silent. Although he was able to lift the green dragon crescent blade with the enhancement of the strength enhancement rune, the 5 consecutive slashes had drained all the spiritual energy and physical strength inside the cyclone. He was completely exhausted. Walking down from the Grand Qi sect, he was also stubbornly holding on. Jun Changshao took a deep breath and thought to himself, fortunately, I managed to force Qin Haoren out of the training field. Otherwise, I would be the one in trouble. Relying on the Green Dragon Crescent Blade bought with 200 contribution points, coupled with the strength-increasing talisman, he barely managed to defeat rank 1 Wuzong. It could be seen that it was too difficult to defeat rank 1 Wuzong with a gap of 2 ranks. It was more than difficult. It was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. At that time, if Qin Haoren didn't care about his weapon being chipped by the saber, and took the initiative to attack, Jun Changshao would definitely be in a tragic situation. Because the saber was too heavy, it would have a great impact. In short, sect leader Jun had won this battle by a fluke. After returning to the sect, I must let the disciples increase their cultivation as soon as possible, and then do the epic missions to increase their own ranks. Jun Changshao thought to himself. The system said, according to the host's strength at that time, you would need at least 150,000 jin to barely be able to use it. 150,000 jin was barely enough? Jun Changshao said speechlessly. This godly modified green dragon crescent blade is really scary. Ding! The host has spent 20 contribution points and obtained elementary strength increasing talisman X1. It has been transferred into the space ring. Ding! Sect contribution points. 480500. The green dragon crescent blade required enough strength. As long as the strength increasing talisman didn't have a cooldown, he would definitely buy it immediately in case of an emergency. The blade is really strong. I wonder how strong the special effects will be if the soul of Wu Sheng is activated. Jun Changshao thought to himself. The system said, the host is currently unable to use the green dragon crescent blade normally. Don't think about activating the special effects for now. That's true. If the special effects were too strong, and he couldn't keep up, his body would explode. That would be too much of a joke. Sect Master Jun, when they reached the crossroads, Master AI cupped his hands and said, I'm going back to Huyang City. I'll take my leave here. Goodbye. Jun Changshao didn't have any strength, and could only weakly say that. AI Shang glanced at Wang Donglin and left. On the way, he thought to himself, the Iron Bone disciple is so strong. He must have taken the body-shaping pill. When I go back, I must raise the starting price. He was sure that Li Qingyang and the others had taken the body-shaping pill to be able to fight above their level. Therefore, he was prepared to do something big. Xie Guangquan, Master Li, and the others went with Jun Changshao, because they were quite far from Qingyang City, and were walking on a small mountain path. They found a clean cave to rest after dark. Jun Changshao sat down cross-legged and activated body metamorphosis scripture to replenish his consumed spiritual energy. Xiao Ziji held the Type 88 sniper rifle and hid on a tree outside the cave. Occasionally, he would lean on the 8x scope and observe his surroundings. The 10 members of Drizzle Hall were scattered in the dark. Even if a mouse slipped past, they would be able to catch it. Li Qingyang and Su Xiaoma guarded the cave entrance. Tianqi and Li Fei surrounded the sect leader, providing absolute protection. Seeing that they were facing a great enemy, Xie Guangquan sat in front of the fire and laughed. Qin Haoren is a reputable person after all. He won't use despicable methods to ambush us. Jun Changxiao's spiritual energy and stamina had recovered quite a bit. He opened his eyes and said, Mayor Xie, it's better to be vigilant when we're outside. He wasn't worried about Qin Haoren. He was worried about the other big shots of the 100 Sect Alliance and the 2 groups of assassins. The news of him challenging the Grand Qi Sect had spread throughout Qingyang County. Those who had ill intentions towards him must have received the news, or had already made plans to assassinate him. Bang! Suddenly gunshots came from outside the cave. Mayor Xie, Master Li, and the others who were sitting in front of the fire were shocked by the loud explosion. Jun Changshao said, "Let's go out and take a look." Yes. Li Qingyang and Su Xiaoma left the cave. Mayor Xia hurriedly followed. Tianqi and Li Fei approached the sect leader, worried that something unexpected would happen. Lu Qianqian leaned against the stone wall behind Jun Changshao. Her hand was already on the sheath of her sword. Her eyes flashed with coldness. Zhou Heng stood up and hugged his sword. He walked out of the cave and stood at the entrance. The calmest person was still Yi Xingchen. He was lying in the haystack as if nothing had happened. The originally calm cave instantly became serious when the Type 88 sniper rifle rang out. This also caused Master Li and the others to become serious. Shua. Not long after, Li Qingyang and Su Xiaomo returned. They threw a corpse on the ground and said, "Sect leader, there's only one person. Search." Okay. Su Xiaomo searched the body and said, "Sect leader, there's nothing on him." Nothing at all. Jun Changshao rubbed his chin and said, "Could it be that he's in cahoots with the group of assassins outside Liang City?" In the darkness of the forest, several men in black moved quickly and carefully gathered together. "Big brother, Old Three has been killed," a man in black said with a hoarse voice. "This iron bone is very cautious. We can't act rashly, otherwise we will definitely die under the god-powered firearms." The man in black called boss said in a low voice. So many brothers went to the iron bone, but none of them returned. They must have died under this kind of concealed weapon. Someone said angrily, "Big brother, what do we do now? Retreat first and think of another plan." Yes. Rustle, rustle, rustle. 5 men in black left under the cover of the night and the complicated terrain. From their actions, these people were clearly trained assassins. However, the brothers would never have dreamed that no matter how they hid or how they retreated, they would still be targeted by the members of the Drizzle Hall in the dark. Your profession? Sorry, compared to the gold medal assassins of the Drizzle Hall, they were still much weaker. Chapter 161. When Xiao Ziji shot and killed one of the assassins, the people of Drizzle Hall caught him in advance and successfully followed the other 5 assassins. "We are professional assassins. If we let you rookies escape under our noses, how can we face the sect master and hall master?" The next day, Jun Changxiao's spiritual energy and physical strength recovered quite well. He woke up early and stood outside the cave to breathe in the fresh air and do some stretching exercises. There is no pollution, there is spiritual energy. He sighed. Those who live here, even if they are ordinary people, have a lifespan of around 200 to 300 years. Humans in a high-level martial arts world would condense spiritual energy after opening their meridians, and their lifespan would increase. Sect Master Jun worked hard to complete the main mission because he didn't want to die young. After all, 100 years here was barely 30 years on Earth. Shua shua. Li Qingyang walked out of the forest and took out the mark left by the people of Drizzle Hall. "Sect Master, they already have their eyes on them," Jun Changshao said indifferently. "I want to see how you guys can hide and seek. Return to the sect." Yes. After a night of rest, everyone continued on their way. When they reached a certain intersection in Qingyang City, City Lord Xia and the Li family had bid farewell and left. Jun Changshao was very grateful that they came to support him. Before leaving, he generously gave each of them a body sculpting pill. It can increase the strength of the body. Could it be the body sculpting pill sold by the AI family head? My God, how close is Sect Master Jun and the AI family? That's why he got the pill that hasn't been auctioned yet? The family heads who were walking back to the city were shocked. Everyone. Xie Guangquan stopped and said in a low voice, "Please don't forget that Sect Master Jun gave you the pill." The family heads were all experienced and understood what he meant. They hurriedly said, "City Lord, don't worry. Only you, I, and the heavens will know about this. Sect Master, seeing your brother and the others are back." The quiet iron bone was instantly broken by Sima Zhongda's shout. When Jun Changshao brought 8 people through the sect protecting array and entered the sect, the disciples stopped cultivating and surrounded them to ask about the battle. "Beat them 7-0? Oh my God, this is too awesome. Mighty sect leader, mighty senior brother. On the martial arts practice field, the Iron Bone disciples cheered excitedly. Do. Jun Changshao was in a good mood as he said, let's cook a few dozen dishes tonight, and prepare some good wine to celebrate. Prestige, money and contribution points. This trip to the Haoqi sect was a great harvest. How could he not drink to his heart's content with the disciples? Yes, Lu Wancher didn't even bother to cultivate. She brought Ma Yongning, Blackie, and Blackie to the cafeteria to prepare the ingredients for the banquet tonight. In the study, Jun Changshao had just sat down, and before he could even take a sip of tea, Li Luoqiu, who was wearing a sexy school uniform, walked in. She smiled and said, Sect leader, you're really amazing. She had received news early in the morning that her disciples had won all 7 battles, and that the sect leader had chopped Qin Haoren to the ground with a saber. At that time, Li Luoqiu's first reaction was a bit confused. Although she didn't want Jun Changshao to go and cause trouble and end up in failure, a 6th-rate sect was not to be trifled with. Since he had gone, he should have lost at least 2 or 3 battles. In the end, it was a 7-0 victory. If she didn't have absolute trust in her subordinates, Hall Master Li would have suspected that the information was wrong. Jun Changshao took a sip of tea and put down the cup. He crossed his legs and said, My Iron Bone will eventually become the strongest sect. This is just a normal operation. His acting was natural and flawless. Li Luoqiu sat down and smiled. It seems that I made a very wise choice to rely on the sect leader. From sect leader Jun's point of view, this woman was looking at him from the side. So he hurriedly looked away and said, Is there any movement from the Shao family? There is. When it came to business, Li Luoqiu's charming face was replaced with seriousness. She said, On the day sect leader went to the Haoqi sect, the Shao family's great elder disappeared. Disappeared? Jun Changshao was stunned. Li Luoqiu said, The Shao family's great elder has a habit. Every morning, he will go to the Qingya residence to drink tea, but after going in that day, he never came out. Jun Changshao rubbed his chin and said, Have you investigated the Qingya residence? Yes, Li Luoqiu said. It is one of the Shao family's properties. It is difficult for martial artists without status to enter. Jun Changshao said, What do you think? Recently, I have sent people to investigate the Shao family's training base, but there has been no news. Li Luoqiu paused for a moment and said, This Qingya residence may be a secret base. Jun Changshao agreed. It is possible, Li Luoqiu said. I have sent people to keep an eye on it. What does sect leader plan to do? Wait. Wait for what? Wait for news from Little B and the others. Little B was the leader of the 10 gold-ranked assassins last night. He was once one of the 4 ace assassins in the Drizzle building, second only to Scorpion and Lynx. After Jun Changshao learned of his nickname, he even shouted to him, 2 little bees, flying among the flowers. Li Luoqiu said, It seems that sect leader has been targeted by assassins this time. Jun Changshao drank a mouthful of tea and said with hatred, Don't let me find out who it is, or I will kill him. Being targeted by assassins all the time, no matter how good his temper was, he could not stand it. As long as Little B and the others could touch the melon, they would definitely cut it down and taste whether it was sweet or not. Night came. The dining hall was brightly lit. Every table was filled with food and wine. Jun Changshao raised his bowl and said, To this triumphant return cheers. Sect leader is mighty. All the disciples raised their bowls and drank to their heart's content. Elder Wei also came. He sat alone in a corner and lightly sipped his wine. Looking at the group of youngsters, his turbid eyes were filled with reminiscence. Weizi, I want to build a sect. Do you want to work with me? Ha ha ha, we finally found a mountain. Let's start our sect here. Weizi, from today onwards, I am the sect leader, and you are the vice sect leader. Let's work together and do something big. The memories that had been sealed for a long time appeared in his mind. It made Elder Wei feel like he had returned to the age when he was around the same age as these children. Time was like a flying knife, and each knife made him old Grandpa Wei. Lu Wancher had unknowingly sat in front of him. She held her cheeks with both hands and blinked. Why are you crying? Elder Wei smiled. It's a bit spicy. Lu Wancher pouted. Grandpa Wei, the food you ate was specially made by Du. There was no chili at all. Elder Wei raised his bowl and said, It's the wine is spicy. Lu Wancher frowned and advised, Grandpa Wei, you are old and should drink less. If you leave, pfff. Elder Wei spat out his wine, and almost stomped his feet to leave. Children's words carry no harm. Children's words carry no harm. Iron-boned disciples, usually cultivated very hard. It was rare for them to indulge themselves today. They had a drinking competition with their fellow sect members in the canteen. Jun Changshao was holding a bowl of wine, his feet on a stool as he watched them play with great pleasure. Sect leader. Li Luochio walked over and whispered, Little B has news. So fast. Jun Changshao used his spirit energy to dispel the drunkenness and came to the study. Li Luochio reported the news. Little B and the rest of the 5 assassins in the wild entered Liang City. They dressed up as servants and entered Qingya residence. Jun Changshao interlocked his fingers and rested his chin on them. He sneered. So, Qingya residence is the Xiao family's assassin base. They are also the ones who ambushed outside Liang City? Damn it. They are really playing mind games with me. If I didn't subdue Drizzle Building, I wouldn't even know where they are if I were to die. Hall Master Li, listen to my orders. Shua. Li Luochio took 2 steps back and waited for the order. Jun Changshao's eyes were cold. Tomorrow night, destroy Qingya residence. Leave no one alive. Understood. Let Zueji follow. This, Li Luochio said. After all, he is a member of the Xiao family. It is a bit inappropriate to let him go. Jun Changshao said. Do you think the Xiao family assassins want to assassinate me? Li Luochio was silent for a moment. I understand. The Xiao family is targeting Xiao Ziji. How much hatred do they have that they won't let go of their own people? Kacha. Jun Changshao clenched his fist and the teacup shattered. They dare to touch my iron-boned disciples. Not to mention Qingya residents. I will even dare to destroy the Xiao family. The coldness was oppressive and murderous. Night fell in Liang City. The waiter in Qingya residence was busy closing the door. But just as he was about to close the door, a graceful lady blocked the door with her hand and smiled. Little brother, is this Qingya residence? This lady was beautiful and had a hot body. Any man who saw her couldn't help but take a few more glances. But the waiter was slightly stunned. He said coldly, Sorry, we are closed. You don't want to do business? The lady smiled. The waiter said, My humble shop is closed. If you want to drink tea, come back tomorrow. The lady didn't leave. She blinked and smiled. Little brother, the business I am talking about is not drinking tea, but taking a life. Taking a life. The waiter's eyes turned cold. Pucci, a cold light flashed and mercilessly cut his neck. Li Luochio, who was holding the lancet knife, walked into the shop valiantly. Dozens of her subordinates in the dark followed and disposed of the corpse. Then, they closed the door of Qingya residence. It was a moonless and windy night. Murder and arson. Chapter 162. Thoughts on publishing. The text has nothing to do with the plot. Study room, bathroom. Sect Master, bad news. Li Qingyang pushed the door open and said, The strongest sect of all ages will be published tomorrow at 12:30. Jun Changshao, who was wearing a mask and taking a bubble bath, opened his eyes slightly and said, What's the big deal? Li Qingyang collapsed. Publishing means spending money. There will definitely be a lot of readers who want to leave. Jun Changshao fiddled with the mask and said, Treat it normally. That, Li Qingyang said weakly. Sect Master, can you put down the knife first? Voila! Jun Changshao stood up from the bathtub, pointed the knife at the screen and roared. You want to leave? Do you believe that I will kill you right now? Sect Master, calm down, calm down. Li Qingyang hurriedly dissuaded, and used a bath towel to cover the indescribable part to prevent it from appearing in the camera. Who? Jun Changshao threw away the knife, put on the Sect Master uniform, tied up his black hair, and said, Publish it tomorrow. Gather all the disciples. Firstly, thank the readers who continue to support Ironbone. And secondly, send off the readers who are about to abandon the book. Yes, cafeteria hall. It was full of ribbons and balloons, and the dining tables were put together to leave enough space in front, making it look like a party. The first to enter was the female representative. Li Wuxia walked into the cafeteria, took out the Desert Eagle from her waist, and pretended to shoot at the camera. She smiled sweetly and said, "Is it accurate?" Lu Qianqian walked in. She did not look at the camera, and her face was still as cold as ever. Ling Yuanxue shrank her head and walked over, trying to look at the camera. Her eyes avoided looking at the camera and said, Can you stay?" Lu Wancher jumped into the camera and made a face. She giggled and said, "Big brother, big sister, if you stay, I will take care of your meals. If you want to leave, I have already prepared a farewell meal." Jun Changshao pushed her out of the camera with one hand, adjusted his collar, and leaned his whole face in front of the camera. The song Two Springs Reflect the Moon began to play. Sect leader Jun brewed his emotions for a while, and with tears in his eyes, he looked at the camera and said, "The strongest sect of all ages will be published at 12:30 tomorrow. If you don't support me, the author won't be able to make me more handsome. Can you do me the honor of subscribing?" As he spoke, he suddenly waved the camera with a ferocious expression and said, "Follow him, follow him. The sect leader has gone mad. Quick, drag him away." "No, I'm not crazy. I'm very sober. Feed the sect leader the medicine." "I'm not crazy. I'm not taking any medicine." Jun Changshao was dragged away by Li Qingyang and Xiao Ziji. His eyes were still wide open as he roared at the screen. "They are crazy. Someone wants to harm me. Protect me. Protect me. I'm sorry." Su Xiaomo appeared in the camera. He cupped his hands and said, "Sect leader didn't take his medicine on time. Sorry for scaring everyone." Shua. A golden right foot blocked the camera. Li Fei said, "If you want to leave, I don't mind." Tianqi pushed him away and said, "Hurry and feed the sect leader the medicine." Outside the camera, sect leader Jun's roar could still be heard. "I'm not crazy. I'm not taking any medicine." Yi Xingchen walked in and stopped in front of the camera. He raised his hand and pointed at the camera. He said coldly, "Vulgar mortals, stay." After tying up the sect leader, Xiao Ziji came in front of the camera and said seriously, "Whether a book is worth the money or not, it's not up to the author or the sect leader to decide. It's up to you." "That's right." Li Qingyang smiled and said, "The story has just begun. We don't want everyone to leave." Zhou Hong appeared in front of the camera. He had one hand on his sword. "Don't let him draw his sword," Jun Changshao said in shock. "Otherwise, the streaming camera I spent so much effort to buy will be cut down." Long Xiang and Li Yuhua hurriedly pulled this sword cultivator genius away. Li Tiantian, Sima Zhongda, and the other new disciples, as well as the sect's imperial herbalist, Elder Wei, all walked into the cafeteria. The cafeteria accommodated more than 200 disciples with dreams. Jun Changshao, who had taken the medicine, was untied. He said, "It's been 2 months since the release of the strongest sect of all time. Thank you for your company during the summer vacation. Thank you for your recommendation tickets. Thank you for your support. For the readers who abandoned the book, let's eat this farewell meal together." Shua, shua. The table was filled with delicacies. The disciples ate happily. For the readers who stayed, let's drink this bowl of 1982 Sprite together. Gulp gulp. After the meal, Jun Changshao brought the disciples to the martial arts practice field. Then he gave the camera one by one. Except for a few who were cold and aloof, most of them smiled and waved at the camera. "Take a group photo as a memento." The disciples lined up, forming a few rows below and a few rows above. Jun Changshao sat on the 1,000-year-old Phoebe chair in the middle. He pointed at the camera and said, "This Jianghu is more exciting with your company." 1, 2, 3. Eggplant. Pa. A family photo of the Ironbone disciples in the early stage appeared. When they were unhappy, they thought about the happy story. The camera moved up, and the magnificent hall gradually showed the words, Ironbone in gold. Then it turned to the door, and the plaque hanging above had the words gay. Ironbone Clan written on it. Suddenly on the martial arts practice field, a man wearing a cloak came with a shovel. He gently raised his head, tilted his head, pointed at the camera with his index finger, and said in a cold tone, "Brother, are you leaving?" Jun Changshao almost fell from his chair. He said in surprise, Sect Leader Wang. With this chapter, I would like to thank the readers who supported this book, but had to leave because of their financial ability. I would also like to thank the readers who voted, donated, and continued to support. The strongest sect of all time is more exciting with you around. Chapter 163. Xiao Ziji came to this operation, but he did not enter the elegant residence. He stood on a tree branch with a heavy heart, holding the Type 88 sniper rifle. Opposite was the family property. In the past, when he was still in his glory, he often came here to drink tea, and was surrounded by a group of flattering cousins. However, who would have thought that it would be an assassin's stronghold? Who would have thought that one of the groups of assassins that appeared one after another would be from the Xiao family? In the iron bone, Xiao Ziji, who was full of confidence and hope for the future, was once again hit hard in his heart. Banish me? Why do you still want to kill me? Why? Why is this? Xiao Ziji's left hand tightly held the cold Type 88 sniper rifle. That kind of sadness and anger filled his heart. Jun Changshao also came. He sat on a tree branch next to him. Seeing his disciple's arm trembling, he said, "Sinful self, from the day you were banished, you were destined to be trash in the eyes of the Xiao family." Sect leader, why? Xiao Ziji's voice was hoarse. It was obviously difficult to control his emotions. Jun Changshao said, "Because they can't accept that a trash that was banished will rise again. This will make them feel that their previous actions were extremely stupid. In order to not let themselves be stupid, only by erasing you can continue to be stupid in the dream." Jun Changxiao's analysis was spot on. After Xiao Ziji won the Great Intersect Tournament, the Xiao family could not accept it. They could not allow the trash that was banished to become strong again. Since he had been labeled as trash, he could either continue to be trash like an ant or die. Sinful self, Jun Changxiao said. You have to learn to accept reality and make yourself stronger in setbacks. Who? Xiao Ziji took a deep breath. His state of mind gradually calmed down. Also remember, Jun Changxiao said in a deep voice, true family is not the so-called blood, but the ones who are good to you, the ones who care about you. Those who want to harm you can only be enemies. He would not let his disciples become cold-blooded and heartless killers. Nor would he instill the idea of a Virgin Mary, that others wanted to kill you and had to be reformed. What's more, the Xiao family didn't care about blood ties. If he had the intention to kill Xiao Ziji and wanted to use love to influence him, then he would be a fucking retard. Of course, it was not impossible to influence him, but he could not use love. He had to use his fists. If he could reform them until they were comfortable and cried for their parents, then there would be nothing wrong with it. Xiao Ziji's gaze was cold as he said, Sect leader, I understand. They banished me and wanted to take my life. Even if we share the same bloodline, we are enemies and not family. Elegant residence. Li Luochio brought her people in. An assassin disguised as a servant walked in from the inner courtyard and said, Josie, close the door. Schwa. Viper appeared behind him and covered his mouth with one hand. The dagger cleanly slit his neck. Li Luochio waved her hand, and Mountain Cat and the other members sneaked into the inner courtyard. Then they sealed off all possible escape routes. The leader of Drizzle Building personally brought people here. She was definitely a professional. Hall leader. Viper lowered his voice and said, There's nothing special about the inner courtyard. Li Luochio sat on the table and drank a mouthful of tea. There should be a secret room. Search carefully. Yes. Viper brought her subordinates and quietly searched under the night sky. There was a secret room under the elegant residence. It was very spacious. There was a hall, a training room, and many weapons and hidden weapons hung on the walls. It could be said to be very professional. Big brother, Ironbone's god-powered gun is too powerful. If we are discovered, it will be hard to escape. A bearded man sat in the meeting room and said. He was one of the 5 assassins targeted by Little B in the wild. He was also one of the leaders of the elegant residents. The one who called him Big Brother was a thin middle-aged man, with triangular eyes, and a mustache. He was wearing a butler's uniform. His eyes flashed with coldness. One look, and you could tell that he was not a good person. If Xiao Ziji was here, he would definitely recognize that this was the Xiao family's external affairs butler, Xiao Shanhai, the Great Elder's right-hand man. He was secretly responsible for training the assassins in the residence. He was also the one who assigned the assassination missions to the higher-ups. I didn't expect an 8th-rate sect to be able to deal a heavy blow to the Wuxia sect. This is unbelievable. Xiao Shanhai touched his mustache. Yeah, the bearded man said. Everyone thought that Iron Bone would be brutally beaten up by the Wuxia sect. But in the end, they defeated the Wuxia sect by 7-0. Alliance Master Qin was even injured. At this moment, he was secretly glad that he retreated in time the night before. Otherwise, if he was discovered by Iron Bone, it would not be just one assassin who would die. Great Elder's orders, Xiao Shanhai said in a low voice. Iron Bone is a little tricky. Cancel all assassination plans. No one is allowed to go out. Understood, the bearded man said. Xiao Shanhai tapped his finger on the table and said, Actually, I feel that we don't have to do it ourselves. We can just ask the Drizzle building to assassinate that trash. Big Brother, the Spirit Spring Mountain hired assassins from the Drizzle building, but they still couldn't do anything to Iron Bone. The bearded man said. Humph. Xiao Shanhai said in disdain. The Wei brothers underestimated the enemy too much. They are too stupid. If we want to ask, we will ask the ace assassins from the Drizzle building. It will be absolutely foolproof. Hearing the words ace assassins, the bearded man's eyes were filled with admiration. The ace assassins of the Drizzle building were known as the elites of the elites. Although he was secretly trained by the Xiao family, he was still an assassin. He was in awe of the elites in the same field. He also hoped to reach their level. It's decided then, Xiao Shanhai said. I will go back and talk to the Great Elder. If he agrees, you will follow me to the Drizzle building's headquarters tomorrow. No need. Suddenly, a sound came from the stairs leading up. Li Luochio led Viper and the rest down. She smiled and said, I have come personally. Shwa shwa shwa. Someone suddenly entered the basement. The Xiao family assassins in the room quickly rushed out with hidden weapons in their hands. Their eyes were filled with killing intent. TSK. Viper snorted in disdain. This posture of preparing to throw hidden weapons was not good enough. Xiao Shanhai squinted his eyes and looked at her. He said in surprise, You are the Drizzle building's master? What? Drizzle building's master? The 20 assassins were stunned. The Great Elder of the Xiao family bought a set of training methods from the Drizzle building's master. They became assassins because of this. Thinking about it carefully, they could call her master now. After knowing the identity of the person who came, the 20 assassins immediately relaxed. To be exact, they did not dare to act rashly in front of the master of assassins. Li Luochio walked into the hall. She put one hand on the table and smiled. If I remember correctly, you should be the external affairs manager of the Xiao family? That's right. Xiao Shanhai stood up and cupped his hands politely. I am Xiao Shanhai. I went to your building with the Great Elder in the past. Li Luochio smiled and said, Manager Xiao, I would like to correct what you just said. Correct? Xiao Shanhai was confused. Li Luochio took out the Desert Eagle and spun it around her fingers. She smiled and said, My current identity is not the Drizzle building's master, but the Ironbone Upright Sect's hall master. Xiao Shanhai was stunned. The bearded man's reaction was very fast. The hidden weapons in his sleeves immediately fell. However, before he could move, Li Luochio raised her hand. The Desert Eagle stopped spinning and aimed at him. With a bang, it directly shot through his head. Master of Assassins, clean and efficient. P.S. Let me try first, can I post a VIP chapter? Chapter 164. Plop! The bearded man fell to the ground. Blood splashed on Xiao Shanhai's face, scaring him so much that he almost fell to the ground. A chill ran down his spine from the soles of his feet. The assassin leader that he had carefully trained was instantly killed with a bang? Boss! Seeing that the bearded man was killed, the assassins were furious. They were about to throw the hidden weapons in their hands. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Viper and the others were faster than them. All kinds of darts and hidden weapons were thrown. Plop! Plop! In an instant, more than 20 assassins from the Xiao clan fell to the ground. Before they died, they didn't forget to sigh in their hearts. He is indeed an expert. Seeing that all his subordinates were killed, Xiao Shanhai's eyes were filled with fear. His legs were trembling violently, because the desert eagle was already on his head. Manager Xiao. Li Luoqiu smiled and said, "Of all the people you could provoke, you had to provoke my iron bone. Don't kill me." Xiao Shanhai's voice was trembling. His eyes were filled with the greatest fear of death. No one wanted to die. How good would it be to live? Li Luoqiu moved her gun down and said expressionlessly, "Sect Master said that this assassin base of the Xiao clan will not be left alive. So go on your way." Bang! The bullet pierced through his chest. Blood splattered on the wall. Plop! The Xiao clan's external affairs chief fell straight down. At the moment of his death, he was still wondering how an organization like the Drizzle Building became Iron Bones people. How did the Drizzle Building's leader become the Hall Master? Since he couldn't figure it out, he could only go to the underworld to figure it out. The assassin base of the Xiao clan that used the elegant residence as a cover was completely eradicated by Li Luoqiu's swift and decisive methods. Because it was in the basement, the ceiling effect was excellent. The martial artists in the city wouldn't even dream that dozens of people would die in the elegant residence tonight. To be honest, the assassins of the Xiao clan were too amateur. If it wasn't for the sect master's death order that they must be eradicated, the Drizzle Hall wouldn't have sent so many members. Shwa! Shwa! Li Luoqiu led her subordinates and jumped out from the backyard. She landed on a tree and said, "The Xiao clan's external affairs chief is in charge of the assassin base." Xiao Shanhai. Xiao Ziji's gaze turned cold. Jun Changxiao said, "You know him?" Xiao Ziji gritted his teeth and said, "When my aptitude regressed, he humiliated and made things difficult for me in the family." Jun Changxiao said, "Bring that guy over here. Since he dared to bully my disciple, I must torture him and make him wish he was dead." Li Luoqiu said, "I shot him dead." "Dead?" Jun Changxiao shook his head and said, "He got off easy." Li Luoqiu asked, "What should we do next?" Jun Changxiao rubbed his chin and said, "Take all the corpses away and set fire to the elegant residence." Carrying away the corpses and burning down the elegant residence was to make the Xiao clan uneasy. Understood. Li Luoqiu was about to give the order. Jun Changxiao stopped him and said, "Zueji, this fire will be set by you. Burning it is equivalent to burning all ties with the Xiao clan." Xiao Ziji nodded and jumped down. Li Luoqiu ordered the members to take away Xiao Shanhai and the dozens of assassins' corpses, and quickly disappeared into the night. It could be said that they came in a hurry and left in a hurry. Ho ho! Xiao Ziji stood in front of the elegant residence with a torch in his hand. The light from the torch shone on his expressionless face. "Xiao clan. Today I, Xiao Ziji, will sever all ties with you." Shwa! The torch was thrown into the elegant residence. The flames burned the counters and furniture, instantly forming an unstoppable fire. Jun Changxiao stood on the city wall and looked at the rising fire. He looked at the disciples who left and said, "Zueji, you only have one identity now. You are a disciple of the Ironbone clan. There's a fire. The elegant residence is on fire." The fire that dyed half of the city red startled the martial artists, who were sleeping soundly in the surroundings. They all rushed out of their rooms. After the Xiao clan received the news, they immediately sent a large number of direct disciples to put out the fire. Unfortunately, no matter how much water was splashed, it couldn't extinguish the powerful flames. After dawn, the elegant residence was turned into ruins. Damn it! The first elder of the Xiao clan, who was standing in the charred ruins, said angrily, "Who did this? There were so many assassins in the basement. It was impossible for a fire to happen for no reason. Someone must have done it on purpose." First Elder. The second elder walked over and said softly, "There are bloodstains in the secret room. Our people are gone." The first elder of the Shao clan clenched his fists tightly. At this moment, he could guess that since the tea house was burned in Shao Shanhai, and the assassins that he had painstakingly trained disappeared, they must be dead. Who did it? Who did it? The first elder of the Shao clan could only roar in his heart. He didn't dare to show too much anger on his face, because the elegant residence was just a property in the eyes of outsiders. The news of the elegant residence being burned to ashes in the fire instantly spread in Liang City, and became a hot topic. No one would believe that it was an accident. It must have been done on purpose. Therefore, after in-depth discussion, the conclusion was that the Shao clan had offended someone. Who did they offend? This wasn't easy to guess. After all, no one had seen the culprit. Shao clan main hall. Several elders gathered together. Their faces were filled with anger, anxiety, and confusion. It could be said that it was quite colorful. They had spent a lot of money to buy the assassin training method from the Drizzle building. After a few years of training, they had gradually formed a large scale. In the end, it was gone. This was definitely a heavy blow. What was more tragic was that they still didn't know who did it. Pa! The second elder slammed the table angrily and said, "First elder, this matter must be investigated thoroughly." The third elder said, "We don't know who did it. How can we investigate?" The fourth elder said cautiously, "The other party dared to burn down the elegant residence. They might not be afraid of our Shao clan." This sentence calmed the angry elders down instantly. The fifth elder said with a serious expression, "The person who did it dared to burn down the elegant residence, and didn't leave a corpse behind. They definitely didn't come with good intentions." The first elder, who had been silent all this time, said, "Could it be Iron Bone?" He thought for a long time, but couldn't think of who the Shao clan had offended recently. He could only guess that the assassination of Shao Ziji had been discovered by Iron Bone. The second elder said, "Iron Bone's sect leader just came back from challenging the Wuxia sect. Did he have the time to do it?" The first elder fell into deep thought. To be honest, he hoped that it wasn't Iron Bone. This eighth-rate sect was really not simple to defeat the Wuxia sect. The first elder said, "We will discuss this matter again after the clan leader comes out of seclusion." Okay. All the elders nodded. However, they didn't know that Jun Changshao, who had returned to Iron Bone, was still carrying out the second step of his plan. Destroying the elegant residence was just the beginning. Sect leader Jun had to use different methods to take revenge on the Shao clan. After thinking for a while, he said, "Luo Qiu, investigate all the properties of the Shao clan in Qingyang County in the shortest time possible." Li Luoqiu said, "What does sect leader want to do?" Jun Changshao sneered, "A clan's biggest lifeline is its properties. Only economic sanctions can give them a fatal blow." "Understood," Li Luoqiu said. "And that Shao clan's first elder," Jun Changshao said indifferently, "keep a close eye on him." Shao Shanhai was only the chief of external affairs. This so-called first elder was definitely the real mastermind. If all his lackeys were dead, how could he live? Chapter 165. Jun Changshao wouldn't destroy the Shao family. After all, they were a family in Liang City, and there was no evidence to prove that they had tried to assassinate him. However, he could use other methods to take revenge. The members of the Drizzle Hall were very efficient. In just 2 days, they brought back a lot of information. The Shao family has a lot of businesses. Li Luoqiu reported. Their main business is iron ore, pills, and herbs. They have branches in 8 cities in Azure Sun County. Pills and herbs? Jun Changshao asked. Can they be compared to the AI family? Li Luoqiu shook her head. The Shao family is a martial arts family. They can't be compared to the AI family in terms of business. According to the information, most of the Shao family's pills and herbs are provided by the AI family. Is that so? Jun Changxiao's lips curled into a smile. This was a good piece of information that could be used to make trouble. What about the iron ore? There's a mine 300 miles away from Liang City. It was discovered and mined by the Xiao family. The iron ore comes from there. Jun Changxiao rested his chin on the back of his hand and said, Say, if the mine suddenly catches fire, floods, or accidentally collapses, will the Xiao family suffer a loss? Li Luoqiu said, Not only will it, but it will also be a huge loss. The Xiao family's iron ore supplied 60% of the entire Azure Sun County's market. If it was gone, it would be a huge loss. Bring some people to the mine and create an accident, Jun Changxiao said. Okay, Li Luoqiu said. Jun Changxiao asked, There are miners in the mine, right? Yes. People from the Xiao family. These kinds of laborers are usually hired from the neighboring villages. Jun Changxiao said, When you take action, drive them out. Every injustice had its perpetrator, and every debt its debtor. The Xiao family had sent people to assassinate him time and time again. Naturally, he had to play with them until the end. However, he would never harm the innocent. This was the bottom line that he could uphold after adapting to the cruelty of the falling star continent. Understood. Li Luoqiu walked out of the study and shook her head. The sect master's revenge methods are quite fancy. Xiao family, you've provoked a devil. I'm afraid you'll suffer even more than the Grand Spirit sect. Sect leader. Li Qingyang walked in and placed the sketch on the desk. This is the sketch I designed. What do you think? After returning to the iron bone, he began to cultivate while focusing on his modifications. Keep it for now. Jun Changxiao said. When there are more disciples, we can carry out the modifications. Although he wasn't short of money, it wasn't a good idea to renovate it all the time. He should wait until there were more people. Li Qingyang kept the sketch and said, This is something that I designed on the spot. Since sect leader is not in a hurry, I will go back and design it in detail. Jun Changxiao patted him on the shoulder and said, If you don't practice martial arts, you can be a civil engineer. Civil engineer? Li Qingyang was puzzled. Sect leader, what kind of deputy position is this? Jun Changxiao didn't explain to him and said, I have some matters to attend to in Huyang City, so I'll leave the sect to you. Yes, our great genius Li was already used to it. Before leaving, Jun Changxiao spent 20 contribution points to buy 2 basic cold-edge swords, and gave them to Yi Xingchen and Li Fei as a reward for Hao Qi Sect's victory. Then they set off for Liang City. Since he knew that the Xiao clan's main business was pills and herbs, he would feel uncomfortable if he didn't do something. I finally have a sword. Yi Xingchen held the basic cold-edge sword. After feeling the chill and sharpness, he said with satisfaction, The quality of this sword should be middle grade. I can make do with it for now. Even a martial artist might not have a middle grade weapon. Knight Emperor only used make do to describe it. If others heard this, they would definitely beat him up. Phew. Walking to the small practice field in the inner courtyard, Yi Xingchen let out a long breath. He put one hand on the sword hilt and stared straight ahead. Zhou Hong looked over and whispered, Senior brother Yi also knows swords? Clang suddenly, the cold-edged sword was unsheathed. Sword shadows spread out and intertwined into more than 10. Zhou Hong said, 10 swords in one breath. Not bad. Clang. Yi Xingchen sheathed his sword and formed the sword again. He silently recited the single-word fast technique. Still want to try? Zhou Hong thought. Clang. Yi Xingchen unsheathed his sword again. Clang. The sword was sheathed. Seeing the sword shadows disappear like fireworks, Zhou Hong exclaimed, 24 swords in one breath. No. This was definitely not his own sword intent. It was definitely some kind of sword technique. Zhou Hong hurriedly said, Senior brother Yi, you used a sword technique just now? Yes. Yi Xingchen said. Zhou Hong exclaimed, What kind of sword technique is this? It can make senior brother Yi use 10 swords in one breath to 24 swords. Yi Xingchen said calmly, The divine sword technique. The sect leader gave it to me. The sect leader gave it to him? Could it be the sect's sword technique? Zhou Hong, who was always calm and introverted, was a little excited. He went to find the sect leader without practicing his sword. When he found out that the sect leader went to Huyang City, he sat in the courtyard and waited. He was really a sword fanatic. Every time Jun Changxiao went down the mountain and entered a city, he had a different feeling. This time, when he came to Huyang City, he felt even more obvious. When he entered, the passers-by looked at him with admiration. Why? Because the incident of Haoqi's sect being destroyed had already spread throughout Azure Sun County. It caused a huge commotion and was definitely on the level of an earthquake. Take Liang City for example. The Xiao clan offended someone, and the Qingye residence was burned down. It was only for a short while before it was suppressed by the Ironbone sect. The most famous sect in Azure Sun County? The Ironbone sect. The most famous person in Azure Sun County? Jun Changxiao. From Earth's perspective, sect leader Jun was definitely an internet celebrity. No, he was a top celebrity. If there was a social media platform in Falling Star Continent, he could attract countless fans just in Azure Sun County. Wow! Sect leader Jun is so handsome. On the way to the medicine store, the young girls saw the handsome Jun Changxiao and immediately lowered their heads shyly. Their hearts were beating wildly, and they almost screamed on the spot. Sect leader Jun, a young girl who was more bold and unrestrained, suddenly rushed over and handed over a bouquet of flowers. Her small face was red with shyness as she said, "Please, please accept it." Jun Changxiao took the flowers and gave her a side attack. He smiled gently and said, "Thank you. I can't take it anymore." The young girl in the distance saw this, and her eyelids rolled back. She fainted on the spot. The young girl who delivered the flowers covered her burning face and ran away shyly. She was afraid that if she got too close to him, she wouldn't be able to control herself and faint. Sect leader Jun, this is my flower. Sect leader Jun, I have one too. Sect leader Jun, can you sign an autograph for me? Sect leader Jun, can I hug you? A group of beautiful young girls surrounded Jun and Wuxia in an instant and presented him with fresh flowers. The scene was spectacular. Ahaha ahahaha. In the inner gate of Huyang City, Jun Changxiao was squatting in a corner of the tunnel. He was grinning foolishly, and his saliva was almost flowing out. The cultivators passing by looked over and whispered, "What's wrong with sect leader Jun? He's been squatting there since he came in. I think he's thinking about something happy. No matter how happy he is, he doesn't need to smile so wretchedly." Chapter 166. Master AI, who was in a meeting with the AI family, knew that Sect Master Jun had come to the medicine shop. He put down his stall and hurried over. When he entered, he didn't see anyone. He cupped his hands and smiled. What wind blew Sect Master Jun here? Northwest wind, Jun Changxiao said lightly. AI Shang heard his tone and immediately judged that he was a little unhappy. He immediately became nervous. Could it be that there was an ignorant junior in the AI family who offended Sect Master Jun? In Master AI's eyes, Jun Changxiao was the god of wealth. The future of the AI family depended on the healing pills and body-shaping pills. Naturally, he didn't dare to offend him. He carefully walked into the living room and said, "Sect Master Jun seems a little troubled." Sigh. Jun Changxiao sighed. "Don't mention it." AI Shang sighed in relief. "Don't mention it." These three words meant that the matter that made him unhappy had nothing to do with the AI family. "Sect Master Jun, we are old friends." Master AI sat down and said, "If you have any troubles, you can tell me. Maybe I can help you." Jun Changxiao said, "Master AI, you should have heard of the Xiao family in Liang City, right? Could it be that the Xiao family offended Sect Master Jun?" As expected of a businessman, he was able to guess the crux of the matter with just a thought. I have. AI Shang said. Jun Changxiao put his elbow on the armrest and held his chin. "This Xiao family offended me." As expected, AI Shang secretly said. "The Xiao family's strength is not even comparable to a seventh-rate sect. They dared to offend Ironbone. Are they tired of living?" If the higher-ups of the Xiao family heard this, they would definitely feel wronged. They offended Ironbone a few months ago. At that time, Ironbone wasn't so arrogant. Now that they realized it, They were prepared to stop for a while. In the end, they were arranged. Master AI, Jun Changshao said, I am a bit of a vengeful person. I also hate two-faced people. AI Shang hurriedly said, Sect Master Jun. My AI family has nothing to do with the Xiao family. I am not a two-faced person. Listening to the sound of the strings, it was absolutely full marks. Jun Changshao said, We're friends, so Jun will naturally believe you. As he spoke, he placed 2 healing pills on the table and said, Thank you for your support at the Haoqi sect. These 2 healing pills are for Master AI. If you don't accept it, then you're treating me like an outsider. AI Shang said, Thank you, Sect Leader Jun, for your gift. After saying that, he happily took back the pills. After all, according to the last auction price, 2 healing pills were worth 1,200,000 taels. Patriarch AI. Jun Changshao asked, How's the gathering of the materials coming along? Yes. AI Shang hurriedly took out the medicinal herbs he had collected recently and said, Sect Master Jun, the medicinal herbs are a bit lacking this time. Let's gather more after some time. This AI will personally send them to the Ironbone sect. Jun Changshao put away the medicinal herbs and said, That's right, I have a list of medicinal herb seeds here. Do you have them in stock? AI Shang took the list and glanced at it. He smiled and said, Sect Master Jun, the medicinal herbs are a bit hard to find, but my AI family has a lot of these seeds. As he spoke, he handed the list to shopkeeper Ma and ordered him to bring all the seeds in the shortest time possible. After he left, AI Shang moved closer and said in a low voice, Sect Master Jun, this AI has a question, but I don't know if it's appropriate to ask. Of course. Have all the disciples of your sect taken the body-shaping pill? That's right. Your disciples performed so well at the Haoqi sect. It should have something to do with the body-shaping pill, right? It has a lot to do with it. Great. A smile appeared on AI Shang's face. Jun Changshao knew that AI Shang wanted to hype up the body-shaping pill, so he was looking forward to how high the auction price would be. The higher the auction price, the more he would get. Even if he had more than 10 million taels in his pocket, Sect Master Jun wouldn't mind. Half an hour later, shopkeeper Ma took out all the medicinal herbs on the list, and all of them were of high quality. Needless to say, it was a free gift. Jun Changshao accepted it with a smile and cupped his hands. I still have matters to attend to at the sect. Jun will take his leave first. AI Shang sent him off. AI family head's attitude towards Sect Master Jun is so good. At the Haoqi sect, AI family head is helping the Ironbone sect. I heard that he was even willing to lend 10 million taels. TSK, such a close relationship. The AI family and the Ironbone sect must have a lot of business dealings. The passers-by discussed in low voices. After sending off Jun Changshao, AI family head returned home. He clasped his hands behind his back and hesitated in the main hall. Family head, what happened? AI Shang didn't understand. Sigh. AI Shang sighed and said, Liang City's Xiao family offended Sect Master Jun. Ah. AI Shang's eyes widened. AI Shang sat down and put one hand on the teacup. Sect Master Jun should know that we have business dealings with the Xiao family. He came to the medicine shop to knock some sense into them. AI Shang asked, Family head, what should we do? AI Shang took a sip of tea and said, Sect Master Jun is our AI family's god of wealth. We cannot offend him. So we have to stop our business with the Xiao family immediately. AI Shang said, But the Xiao family just sent a deposit a few days ago. Third brother even signed a contract with them. We have to stop it even if it's a breach of contract. AI Shang said firmly, Breach of contract? Then they have to pay 10 times the deposit. Although AI Shang's heart ached, since the family had said so, they had to stop it immediately. I'll go and tell them. Wait, check carefully. See if our AI family has any business dealings with the Xiao family. If they do, no matter how big or small or how much they cost, stop them all. Okay. Xiao family. The 6th elder, who was in charge of medicinal herbs and pills, walked into the main hall dejectedly with a large stack of banknotes. 6th brother, where did you get so much money? Xiao family's first elder asked. The AI family gave it to us. Sixth elder said. Second elder said with a smile. Why did the AI family head suddenly give us so much money? Is it because our Xiao family has always been buying from their pharmacy? Although our Xiao family's main business is not our business, we have half of the medicinal herbs and pills market in Liang City. Third elder said with a smile. The AI family will definitely think highly of us. It's natural for them to give us money to deepen our relationship. The AI family had recently developed a healing pill and was in the limelight. Suddenly, they took the initiative to give so much money. The Xiao family's upper echelons felt like their bodies were floating from the ground. Sigh. Sixth elder slammed the banknotes on the table and said angrily, What bullshit money? This is the penalty for breach of contract from the AI family. Penalty for breach of contract? Everyone's smile froze. Xiao family's first elder frowned. What happened? Sixth elder put a letter on the table and said, The AI family just sent someone to deliver a letter. They want to cut off all business dealings with our Xiao family. What? The elders all gathered around to read the letter. Sure enough, it was written clearly in black and white from today onwards. Our AI family will cut off all business dealings with the Xiao family. The signature was AI Shang. And there was even a fingerprint. Everyone who was about to float up just now was hit in the head by a heavy hammer. Not only did their souls instantly enter their bodies, but they also almost drilled into the ground. Although that stack of money was a lot, if they cut off all business dealings with the AI family, without high-quality medicinal herbs and pills, how would they do business in the future? Kacha. Xiao family's first elder held the letter and said angrily, Our Xiao family must have offended someone. Chapter 167. The AI family didn't hesitate to break the contract and cut off all business dealings. No matter how stupid the Xiao family was, they could guess that they had offended someone. The great elder's eyebrows wrinkled even more. The AI family prioritized business and paid particular attention to harmony, suddenly cutting off all business dealings and not hesitating to pay 10 times the penalty. There must be a huge force behind this. My Xiao family. Who the hell did I offend? The great elder was about to collapse. Of course, he didn't consider that it was Jun Changshao behind the scenes, because this eighth-rate sect absolutely didn't have the qualifications and ability to make the AI family cut off all business dealings with them. What a pity. It really was Jun Changshao. After leaving the medicine store, he didn't immediately return. Instead, he went around the market and bought some seasonings and seeds for Dudu, as well as some crystal cores. He didn't return home until dusk came. If the AI family had good eyesight, they would have cut off all business dealings with the Xiao family by now. If you lose quality suppliers, even if you can buy from other stores, you will certainly lose a lot of customers, and your profits will inevitably be greatly reduced. There are also mineral veins. Without this industry, it's equal to cutting off half of your income. How can a family develop without money? Jia jia jia. A gloomy laughter came from the mountains, scaring the beasts away. It was already dark when he returned to the sect. Jun Changshao had just returned to the courtyard when he saw Zhou Hong sitting at the door. Puzzled, he asked, Why are you sitting here instead of practicing your sword? Shua. Zhou Hong got up and hurriedly said, Sect leader, please teach me the Ling Jian divine art. This guy was really persistent. He squatted at the door for a whole day and didn't even go to pee. If you want to learn, you can, Jun Changshao said. You must contribute to the sect. He wouldn't give anything just because he was a good seedling. He must be recognized. For example, Yi Xingchen defeated the disciples of the vast spirit sect with absolute strength and showed off the power of the iron bone. Therefore, he generously gave him the cold-edged sword. The system didn't take the initiative to match the sword skills with the sect's martial arts, indicating that this thing couldn't be casually given to disciples to practice. It's not that the system didn't automatically match, but the level of the sword skills was too high. Even if disciples with low spiritual roots had a book, they could only learn a little. Sect leader, Zhou Hong said, how can I get contribution points? Jun Changshao considered for a moment, then said, Soon, I will be bringing my disciples out for training. You should come along as well. If your performance is good, I can reward Ling Jian with a divine technique. All right. Zhou Hong agreed without hesitation. There were two things that a swordsman cared about the most. One was the sword, and the other was the sword technique. It didn't matter if they lost their lives for it. After returning to the study, Jun Changshao opened the alchemy pavilion and began to automatically match the herbs and fire seeds. Then he began to refine the pills. There weren't many herbs this time, so there weren't many herbs to refine. However, he had accumulated a lot of healing pills. This made Jun Changshao secretly think, should he give more to the AI clan and let them auction it off? No. The rarer something was, the more expensive it was. Only by controlling the quantity could it be sold for a good price. The next morning, a beautiful divine song began to play on the training field. Jun Changshao led the disciples to dance at the front. After the dance, they went to the herb garden. After receiving the herb seeds and inspecting them, Elder Wei said in surprise, "Sect leader, these are all high-quality herb seeds from the AI clan." Jun Changshao said, "With Elder Wei's strength, he naturally needs high-quality seeds to show his talent." "Sect leader, you flatter me," Elder Wei said. "The higher the quality of the seeds, the longer the growth period." "How long?" "With the current spiritual power gathered in the herb garden, it will take at least 2 months." "How's the effect?" Elder Wei pondered for a moment, then said, "It's much better than the first batch of herbs." "Is that so?" Jun Changshao was overjoyed. The first batch of qi-gathering pills refined from herbs already had 10 times the spiritual power. If these high-quality pills matured, wouldn't it be even better to refine them? "Elder Wei," Jun Changshao said, "I have a body-shaping pill here. Take it." If they wanted to make the disciples stronger quickly to deal with the 1-year agreement with the Holy Spring Sect, they had to rely on qi-gathering pills. If they just relied on collecting herbs outside to refine them, the supply would definitely not meet the demand. Therefore, Elder Wei was very important. "I'm already an old bag of bones." Elder Wei shook his head and laughed. "What's the point of taking pills?" Jun Changshao said, "Take this pill. It can strengthen your body. Elder Wei, don't refuse." "Okay." Elder Wei took the pill and swallowed it. When the pill took effect and his muscles, blood, and strength were greatly improved, he said in disbelief, "Little guy, this pill of yours is amazing." Jun Changshao said, "Elder Wei, I have many more amazing pills. If you join Iron Bone and become the medicine hall master, you can eat as much as you want." He was not satisfied with hiring a herbalist who was so meticulous in cultivating herbs. Instead, he hoped to recruit him into the sect and become a member of Iron Bone. Elder Wei shook his head and said, "I'm already an old man with 1 foot in the grave. How can I still think about joining a sect?" Jun Changshao said seriously, "Elder Wei, you have to know that there are people in this world who are old in person but young in heart." "Old in person but young in heart?" Elder Wei laughed at himself and said, "I don't have any dreams or goals. I live in this world. My old in person and old in heart." Jun Changshao said, "As long as one is alive, one must constantly strive." Elder Wei is too pessimistic. "Sigh." Elder Wei sighed and said, "Little guy, when you've experienced more things and suffered more blows, you'll understand that it's impossible not to be pessimistic." He turned and left. His back looked even more aged. "Elder Wei," Jun Changshao shouted, "I don't care what you've experienced or what kind of blows you've suffered. I just want to tell you that as long as one is healthy, one should strive and not give up on oneself." Elder Wei stopped and laughed. "Little guy, are you teaching an old man who has walked more paths than you have eaten?" Jun Changshao said seriously, "I just don't want Elder Wei to continue sinking. I want him to live happily. Even if it's not for himself, it's for his deceased relatives and brothers." Elder Wei's body suddenly shook. His skinny hands trembled slightly. Sure enough, he had guessed right. Jun Changshao said, "Elder Wei's research on herbs has reached perfection. He must have worked hard when he was young. Since that's the case, why don't you pull yourself together and work with me to do something great?" Work together to do something great. These words rang in his ears. They came not only from Jun Changshao, but also from someone else. Elder Wei's cloudy eyes gradually moistened. Child, he said with a trembling voice. Someone said the last sentence to me several hundred years ago. Jun Changshao said. It seems that I'm not the only one who understands Elder Wei. Phew. Elder Wei took a deep breath and said sadly. There's no one in this world who understands me anymore. I understand, Jun Changshao said. Elder Wei said. Little guy, tell me about your great cause. Jun Changshao said seriously. Let Ironbone clan become the strongest clan. Let the name of the clan be known throughout the Falling Star continent. Your great cause is much greater than his. Elder Wei muttered. He turned around and smiled. However, it's very much to my liking. Elder Wei agreed. If the clan leader doesn't mind these old bones of mine, I'm willing to do something for Ironbone clan. The next day, Jun Changshao summoned the disciples and solemnly announced the establishment of the second medicine hall of Ironbone clan. Elder Wei was appointed as the hall master and was in charge of herbs and medicine. Sun Bukong and the others were assigned to the medicine hall. After receiving hall master Feng, Elder Wei returned to the herb garden and sat alone in the pavilion. He looked at the blue sky and white clouds in the sky and muttered, Old friend, is my decision right? P.S. Please subscribe, support, recommend and monthly votes. If the results are good, there will be more at night. Chapter 168. The establishment of the medicine hall signified that Ironbone was one step closer to becoming a professional. Of course, there was still a long way to go. Jun Changshao needed to explore as he walked. Then he would slowly add in the essentials of a sect, gradually perfecting and expanding it. Although this path was destined to be long, he was full of confidence because he had the system cheat. Shao Clan's pills and herbs were arranged by AI Clan, and Li Luochio was also in charge of the mines. Jun Changshao was free and unfettered, and began to focus on martial arts. After buying the Green Dragon Crescent Blade, he realized that his peak martial disciple strength was nothing but bullshit. He needed to break through as soon as possible. How to break through? He could only complete the epic mission, because if he didn't complete it, his realm would be suppressed. Damn it! Jun Changshao opened the data panel and tapped on the details of the epic mission. He muttered, There are still 30 days left for the mission. I have enough time to prepare. This kind of mission to kill a large number of beasts in the valley was equivalent to a large-scale mission. He needed to bring a lot of disciples. Sect Master. While thinking, Li Qingyang walked into the study room and said, There are a lot of people coming to sign up. How many? At least 500 to 600. That's quite a lot. Jun Changshao wasn't surprised that so many people came to sign up. After all, after defeating Hao Qi's sect, any smart person would realize the potential of Ironbone. Let's go. Jun Changshao stood up and said, Let's go and accept disciples. Creak. The tightly shut door of Ironbone was pushed open. Jun Changshao walked out. Before he even walked down the stairs, a few hundred youths surrounded him like a tide, clamoring to join the sect. Many of these youths had seen the recruitment announcement a month ago and wanted to join. Why did they only come now? Because they told their parents about the idea of joining Ironbone and were mercilessly suppressed. The reason was that they offended the 100 Sect Alliance and challenged Hao Qi sect. Joining such a sect was equivalent to courting death. No wonder those parents. The 100 Sect Alliance and Hao Qi sect were giants in Azure Sun County. Who would dare to take the risk and send their children to the tiger's mouth? Things were different now. Jun Changshao led his disciples to defeat the vast Qi sect, using their strength to prove the strength of Ironbone. A sect that was once unrated seemed to have suddenly risen, and even had the ability to wrestle with a sixth-rate sect. They were definitely a force with great potential. Many far-sighted parents not only agreed with their children's decision, but also personally sent them to the mountain gate and prayed at the foot of the mountain, hoping that they would be accepted by Ironbone. It was a pity. Many parents were destined to be disappointed, because there were only 260 spots left for Iron Bone. Line up one by one. Li Qingyang commanded the order. More than 500 youths lined up neatly, and went through the interview one by one. What's his name? Jun Changshao asked the first teenager who came to register. Perhaps because the young man was too excited, he stammered. Reporting. Sect leader. I, Jun Changshao said. Straighten your tongue before you speak. Who? The young man took a deep breath and controlled his emotions. Reporting to Sect Master. My name is Yin Jiping. Jun Changshao said. Quanjin Sect. Yin Jiping said with a blank face. I've never joined a sect before. Jun Changshao shook his head and said. Xiao Longnu was harmed by people with this name. Go Iron Bone is not suitable for you. Not accepting disciples just because of their names. Sure enough, they can do whatever they want. This incident told us that even in the other world, naming was a very technical matter. Next, Jun Changshao said. A young man with a decent appearance walked over and said politely, Sect Leader Jun, my name is Lin Jianghang. Jun Changshao sized up the entry form, filled in his name and stamped it. He pointed to the back and said, Go in, someone will receive you. Thank you, Sect Leader. Lin Jianghang bowed and stepped into Iron Bone under the envy of the other youths. Without asking anything, he was accepted just by saying his name. It seemed that he still had a chance. He's in. Su Xiaoma, who was sitting on the training ground, said with a blade of grass in his mouth. Xiao Fei, it's up to you. Okay. Li Fei raised his leg and shot. The happy football flew in an arc. Lin Jianghang, who had just walked in, didn't even have time to look at Iron Bone before the ball hit his face. Not bad, Su Xiaoma said. To be able to take a kick from Xiao Fei without falling, you should have some strength. Using a football as a test, ingenious. Outside, Jun Changshao didn't expect Su Xiaoma and his group of bastards to use a football to kick a new disciple. He took out another entry form and said, What's your name? The young man said, My name is Cui Bujian. Pa, he stamped the sex seal and said, Go in. This guy really only needed to look at the right person and not ask about the cultivation level of the spirit root. Just the name. Bang. Inside Iron Bone, Cui Bujian, who had just walked in, was also attacked by the ball. He fell to the ground with a loud bang and spat out blood. Su Xiaoma said in shock. So weak? One kick and he spat out blood. That. Li Fei scratched his head and said, Senior brother, I didn't control my strength well just now. That kick was at least 1,000 pounds of force. Ah. Su Xiaoma's eyes widened. Then, he rushed over and carried Cui Bujian, who was spitting out blood, and rushed to the medicine hall in a hurry. Sun Bukong, save him. As long as Jun Changshao liked them, they would be accepted into the sect. In a short time, more than 500 youths were all interviewed. 260 people joined Iron Bone. The rest were eliminated. There was no other way. There were only so many spots. It was impossible to accept all of them. After the disciple recruitment, the data on the system panel showed that the sect had reached 500 people, and the contribution points increased to 720 points. The points would be automatically removed after 24 hours. So Jun Changshao didn't think about it, and bought 4 bottles of aptitude-changing liquid for Su Xiaoma and the others to use. As for the remaining 20 points, he planned to try his luck at night, and see if he could get some good stuff from the store. Ding! The system has reached the maximum number of members. The sect mission has been activated. Jun Changshao rubbed his hands and opened the data panel. The sect mission changed from no mission to sect mission. Click to see the details. Click to see. Rows of missions appeared on the small data panel. There were more than 100 kinds of missions, and sect leader Jun was a little dazzled. Maybe because of the construction of the sect and the increase in its level, there were very few 1-star missions. Most of them were 2-star missions, and there were a few 3-star missions. 1 star represented 1 contribution point, and 2 stars represented 2 points. Jun Changshao estimated that if all the disciples completed the missions, the achievement points would be full. Then the sect could be upgraded and more functions could be unlocked. But it was too troublesome to release so many missions one by one. The system said, hosts can refresh the store. If you are lucky, you might be able to refresh the mission board and let the disciples accept the missions themselves. Chapter 169. The first time he gave out missions, Jun Changshao gathered the disciples and gave them out one by one because there weren't many missions. This time, there were more than 100 missions. It would be troublesome to give them out. At the crucial moment, the system mentioned the Sect's mission board. The Sect's mission board was a product that could automatically give out missions. It could be operated for 24 hours, and the disciples could pick them up by themselves. The premise was that they had to be refreshed from the store. Is it hard to get? As long as the host has contribution points, it won't be a problem to get them. Jun Changshao rolled his eyes and said, aren't you talking nonsense? If I have endless contribution points, what can't I get? Unfortunately, you don't have endless contribution points. The system said. Jun Changshao was too lazy to care about it and muttered, I have an ominous feeling that I will be cheated of a lot of contribution points. Sect Master. At this time, Elder Wei came to see him and said, a sect can't only have one herbalist. Elder Wei, what do you mean? Jun Changshao asked. Elder Wei said, I want to pick a few suitable disciples in the sect and personally teach them how to plant medicinal herbs. Being hired as a herbalist only needed to plant medicinal herbs. Now that he was the head of the Iron Bone Medicine Hall, he had to fulfill his responsibilities. Jun Changshao said, tomorrow, I will gather the disciples and let Elder Wei choose them personally. Okay. Elder Wei left to plant medicinal herbs. Jun Changshao began to prepare for the dungeon trial 1 month later. He decided to take 25 disciples to Death Valley first. 7 inner disciples would definitely go. The other 10 disciples with middle-grade spiritual roots would also go. The rest would be filled by Zhou Hong, Long Xiang and the others. Jun Changshao returned to the study and pulled out the beginner's store. When he refreshed at the Vast Chi sect, he only looked at the green dragon crescent blade and began to compete with Qin Haoren. He didn't have time to carefully look at the other items. Shua. Suddenly Jun Changshao stood up. In the second row of the item column, there was a magic-modified sniper rifle silencer. A sniper rifle with a silencer. This was the favorite item of gunners. Clicking on the detailed introduction, the content was that it was suitable for various kinds of magically modified sniper rifles. It could be used to silence the user after shooting. The price was 20 contribution points. Only 20 points. It's not expensive at all. Ding! The host has spent 20 contribution points and received a magically modified silencer X1. It has been transferred into the spatial ring. Ding! Sect contribution points. 500,500. After buying the silencer, Jun Changshao continued to browse through the products. Unfortunately, the rest of the products were useless. He continued to refresh. Ding! Sect contribution points. 490,500. The refresh this time was very unlucky. The products were all daily necessities, such as multifunctional toothbrushes and multifunctional soaps. Jun Changshao bought a multifunctional soap at the cheapest price of 10 contribution points. Needless to say, it had a lot of functions and could be used as shampoo or shower gel. Ding! Sect contribution points. 470,500. It refreshed again. Although most of the products this time were useless, there was an item called Body Technique Training Room that was worth buying. Its function was similar to a muscle building room and was mainly used to train body techniques. Jun Changshao bought it for 20 contribution points. Not only could he use it for himself, but he could also use it for Su Xiaoma and the other members of the Drizzle Hall to train their body techniques. Sect contribution points. 440,500. On the third refresh, his luck finally came. An item called Sect Mission Board appeared in the list of products. The system said, yes, yes. Jun Changshao happily clicked on the product introduction The content was item, Sect mission board. Introduction. After activation, it will automatically match the system with Sect missions. Disciples can click on Sect missions to receive them. Price. 100 contribution points. So expensive? After seeing the price, Jun Changxiao was a little speechless. The system said, the Sect mission board can exempt the host from frequently giving out Sect missions. It's worth buying even if it's expensive. That's true. Jun Changxiao bought it for 100 contribution points. After spending like this, he was left with 340 contribution points. Jun Changxiao came to the outer courtyard. He first placed the body technique training room next to the muscle building room. Then, he chose a bigger room and took out the Sect mission board. The Sect mission board was like a wall-mounted television. It was about 140 by 80 in length and width. Jun Changxiao hung it 1 meter high on the wall. With a thought, he activated it. The screen instantly lit up, automatically matching Sect missions and displaying them. There were not many missions. For the time being, there were only 20 types listed. There were small words at the bottom. The mission board refreshed at a fixed time every morning. Moreover, it was divided into individual and group missions. There were also mission difficulties and suggestions for cultivation base. What was even more interesting was that there was a mission completion ranking on the right. However, because no one had completed it, the ranking was currently empty. Pay attention, Jun Changxiao said. He called Li Qingyang over and found someone to make a plaque. He hung it outside the room. From then on, Iron Bone had another mission pavilion. The next day, after morning exercises, Jun Changxiao began to introduce the mission board in the mission pavilion in detail, as well as how to receive them. It was not too difficult. One could just click to receive a single mission. For group missions with a high number of stars, and required a fixed number of people, the participating disciples could click to receive them separately. Many of the new disciples' eyes lit up when they heard that there would be various martial arts resources as rewards after completing the Sect missions. After introducing the Sect mission board, Elder Wei selected 5 disciples. To become a pharmacist, one did not need to have a high aptitude. One only needed to be careful and serious. I'll say it one last time. Jun Changxiao said in a deep voice. Do the Sect missions according to your ability. Those who do not meet the requirements and cannot complete the mission within the time limit will be severely punished. Yes. OJ8K disband. Swoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, hundreds of disciples rushed into the mission pavilion. They crowded in front of the Sect mission board and curiously looked at it. They had never seen such a TV-like thing. After a while, some disciples tried to use their fingers to click on a single mission. Then, the confirm and cancel buttons popped up. Confirm. Disciple Li Tian has received a 2-star Sect mission. Deliver letters to the villagers of Qingyang village 5 times in 10 days. The prompt sounded abruptly in the mission pavilion. Everyone was shocked and retreated. That scared me to death. Does this count as receiving the mission? Ha ha ha. Li Tian squeezed out of the crowd and stood at the door. He waved at everyone and grinned. Senior and junior brothers, I'll go do the mission first. With that, he ran out quickly. Bang! As soon as he came out, he was hit by a ball of happiness. He flew into the air again, and then fell into the greenery. Since Li Tian had started, the other disciples were eager to try. However, the Sect leader had repeatedly reminded them, so they chose to accept the mission as much as possible. Senior brother Long, let's form a team and receive this 3-star mission, Li Yuhua said as she pointed at the mission board. Sure. Long Xiang had no objections. Ling Yuanxua lowered her head and said weakly, Senior brothers, can you bring me along? No problem. The 3 of them clicked confirm. The prompt sounded. Disciples Long Xiang, Li Yuhua, and Ling Yuanxua have received a 3-star Sect mission. Head to Mount Huaqing to hunt subterranean beasts in 5 days. The subterranean beasts level was not too high. With their current cultivation levels, they could handle it. The difficult part was finding the mission target. Let's go. Long Xiang, Li Yuhua, and Ling Yuanxua set off. The other disciples, after careful consideration, accepted the mission according to the requirements. In just half an hour, more than 20 missions on the mission board had been accepted. Many disciples could only continue to cultivate and wait for the next day to refresh. Sitting in front of the stone railing in front of the main hall, Jun Changxiao muttered, "This mission board is really convenient." Chapter 170. Relying on the Sect's mission board, the disciples could accept missions on their own. Jun Changxiao did not need to release them one by one, which saved him a lot of trouble. Next, he called Su Xiaomo, Li Fei, and Tian Qi over, and gave them a bottle of aptitude-changing liquid according to their respective spiritual roots. The three who had tasted the sweetness immediately consumed it. Tian Qi and Li Fei's spiritual roots rose to the middle grade, and their cultivations also entered the 6th grade martial disciple realm. Su Xiaomo stepped into the top grade spiritual root, and his cultivation broke through to the 7th grade martial disciple realm. At this point, the number of people with top-grade spiritual roots in the Ironbone sect increased from 3 to 4. Although the sect was only an 8th-rate sect, it had already surpassed the 6th-rate Vast Qi sect, with 3 top-grade spiritual roots. With only top-grade spiritual roots, their overall strength was still far from being enough. "Thank you, Sect Master." Su Xiaoma and the other two cupped their hands and said. Jun Changxiao said, "Continue to work hard in your cultivation. 1 month later, I will bring you to Death Valley for training." The three who were originally quite happy immediately froze when they heard the words Death Valley. "What's wrong?" Jun Changxiao asked. Su Xiaoma said in shock, "Sect Master, Death Valley is the forbidden area of Azure Sun County. It is said that high-level beasts comparable to Wuzong can be found everywhere inside." Tian Qi and Li Fei's eyes were also filled with fear. The three of them had heard of the various terrifying aspects of Death Valley from their elders since they were young, and it created a lingering psychological shadow. Not only them. When the martial artists of Azure Sun County heard of Death Valley, their expressions also changed. Forbidden area. It was not a joke. Jun Changxiao said, "It is because of the difficulty that I will bring you there for training. This way, you can increase your strength." Wasn't it just to complete the epic mission? He made it sound like he had put in a lot of effort. "If Sect Master says we will go, then we will go." Su Xiaomo expressed his stance. Tian Qi and Li Fei also agreed. Psychological shadow? Overcome it. The one with the biggest reaction was still Li Qingyang. When he found out about this, he almost fell to the ground. "Sect Master," Li Qingyang said with a solemn expression, "Death Valley is filled with ferocious beasts. Without Wuzong's cultivation, it's already good enough that 2 or 3 out of 10 people who go and come out alive. So dangerous? Extremely dangerous." Jun Changxiao rubbed his chin and smiled. "The more dangerous it is, the more challenging it will be. Prepare well. We'll head to the Death Valley in a month." Li Qingyang was silent. As a disciple, he would not go against the sect master's decision. He followed the instructions and gathered the 10 middle-grade aptitude junior brothers, and began to arrange for special training. Jun Changxiao also knew that Death Valley was fraught with danger, and he could not treat the lives of his disciples as a joke. Therefore, he began to provide them with a large number of energy-gathering pills, hoping that they could reach a higher level within a month. You can't leave out the secondary tank either. That brat Li Yuhua's body is fine. Let Zueji take him through special training. When the time comes, he can be used to fight monsters. Li Qingyang trained 10 disciples with middle-grade spiritual roots, and Xiao Ziji trained Li Yuhua individually. Everything was arranged properly. Next, when they finished their training, they would head to the Death Valley to fight in the dungeon. As for the other disciples, Jun Changxiao could not ignore them. Due to the suppression of their levels, he personally went to train them. First, he set a small goal. In a short period of time, let the new disciples all break through to stage 12 meridian opening, and even become martial disciples. Many meridian opening pills would not be a problem. The selected disciples began to undergo special training for the trial in the Death Valley in a month. The new disciples cultivated under Jun Changxiao's guidance. Elder Wei also cultivated 5 disciples while planting high-grade herbs. The sect was thriving. On the 3rd day, Li Luoqiu brought people back to the sect. Sect Master. In the study, Hall masterly placed a spatial ring on the table and said with a smile, "The Shao family's mine collapsed and seized a few 100,000 taels of iron." Jun Changxiao said, "That's right. If the mine collapsed, the Shao family could dig it out again. However, this would consume more resources and manpower, and they would also suffer heavy losses in a short period of time. I have installed a type of equipment in the training room that can improve one's movement technique. When you have time, let the members of the Drizzle Hall cultivate there." Jun Changxiao said, "Equipment to improve one's movement technique?" Filled with curiosity, Li Luoqiu came to the training room and saw that there was another tent beside the molding room. There was a light flickering on it, and it was obvious that someone was training inside. Time ended. The door of the movement technique training room opened, and Su Xiaoma walked out with a swollen face. Then he fell down with a plop, and white foam came out of his mouth. Li Luoqiu touched her chin and said, "It seems a little scary." As she said that, she walked into the movement technique training room. What appeared in front of her was a spacious space. The moment the door closed, her body started to run uncontrollably. It was a little like a treadmill, but the difference was that when Li Luoqiu started running, numerous hidden weapons flew from all directions, forcing her to choose to dodge. An hour later, the time in the training room ended, and Li Luoqiu walked out with sweat all over her head. Her slender legs were trembling violently, and she said while panting, Too scary. Shao family. When the great elder found out that the few direct descendants of the Shao family, who were in charge of supervising the work, had gone missing, and that the mine had collapsed, he couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. The loss of business with the AI family was still bearable, but the collapse of the mine, which was the family's biggest source of income, was definitely a fatal blow. It was already good enough that he didn't faint on the spot. Damn it, who did it? First, the elegant residence was burned down, then the AI family cut off business with us. And now the mine collapsed for no reason. There must be someone behind this. The upper echelons of the Shao family were all furious. The industries that supported the family's economy were continuously damaged. This was very fatal for a family, and it was definitely unbearable. Think about it. Losing the supply of goods was equivalent to losing the funds. Without funds, how could they buy martial arts resources and allow the direct descendants to maintain their normal cultivation? The news of the AI family cutting off business and the collapse of the mine quickly spread in Liang City. The martial artists who originally guessed that the fire in the elegant residence might be a coincidence immediately believed that they had offended someone and had been arranged properly. Who arranged it? Many people were thinking, and all kinds of guesses were spreading in Liang City. The Bei family and the Shao family have always had grudges. In my opinion, the possibility of the Bei family secretly causing trouble is very high. The Zhang family and the Wang family had a conflict with the Shao family a few years ago because of the iron mine. These two families are also very likely. The martial artists were constantly discussing, and the matter continued to ferment. All kinds of guesses were spreading, and if they were all categorized, almost all the big and small families in Liang City had a motive. At first, the Bei family didn't pay attention to the rumors outside. After all, they didn't do it, and there was nothing to be afraid of. But after the direct descendants of the Shao family heard about it, they subconsciously believed that the Bei family was secretly causing trouble. Thus, when they met the direct descendants of the Bei family on the street, they couldn't see eye to eye and immediately had a dispute. In the end, it evolved into a fight. Just like that, the originally peaceful Liang City had become a scene of exciting fights almost every day because the two families had brought their conflicts out in the open. Many suspicious families were also implicated, causing the city to become extremely chaotic. The person who spread all kinds of rumors, Great Sect Master Jun, was sitting in the study listening to Li Luochio's report. He grinned and said, "This is called gossip is a fearful thing." Chapter 171. The rumors in Liang City were all deliberately spread by Jun Changxiao under the orders of the Drizzle Hall members. Even when the Bei family and Xiao family's direct descendants met, they would sometimes play tricks in the dark, causing the two sides to have conflicts and fight, cutting off their source of income and letting the Xiao family make enemies everywhere. This was Jun Changxiao's entire plan. After accepting the mission of letting the members spread rumors and play tricks in the dark, Li Luochio once said, "Are you the devil?" She dealt with her enemies straightforwardly. She would never dream of Jun Changxiao's various methods. Sometimes Li Luochio thought, if she didn't come out at that time and hid in the headquarters with the members, the final outcome would definitely be arranged by this guy. So, he was the devil. "Let's stop targeting the Xiao family for now. Just keep an eye on them," Jun Changxiao said. "Who's the next target?" Li Luochio asked. Jun Changxiao spread his hands and said, "My iron bone isn't an enemy of the entire world. Why would I have so many enemies to target?" He really didn't want to be in the limelight, nor did he want to offend others for the sake of acting cool. If no one provoked him, he just wanted to quietly nurture his disciples, develop the sect, and become stronger step by step. When he had nothing to do, he would lead his disciples to sing and dance, or take them on outings and barbecues in the wild after boring cultivation. This idea was good, but Jun Changxiao understood that reality was cruel. Because where there was Jianghu, there would be grudges. Unless you were so strong that no one dared to provoke you. Li Luochio smiled and said, "Does Haoqi Sect not count?" "You don't say." Jun Changxiao held his chin and said, "Alliance Master Qin has suffered such a big setback. He must be holding a grudge. Maybe he will jump out one day to show his existence. So Sect Master plans to deal with it as it comes. Qin Haoran must hate him." Jun Changxiao couldn't be so arrogant as to destroy a sixth-rate sect. "If the enemy doesn't move, I won't move. If the enemy moves, I'll greet them with a brick." Because of all kinds of rumors, the conflict between the Xiao family and the other families became more and more intense. In the end, they alarmed the city lord, who dragged them to the city lord's mansion and gave them a harsh lecture. Although the various great clans had become well-behaved, they had formed a greater grudge against the Xiao clan. If there was any conflict in the future, it would definitely explode. They couldn't destroy the Xiao clan. Just like that, it caused a great disturbance. This was Jun Changxiao's real goal. Judging from the current situation, it was clear that he had succeeded. Thus, he ordered the Drizzle Hall to keep an eye on the situation at all times and focus on training the disciples. Pass the ball, pass the ball. On the training field, after Su Xiaoma and Li Fei finished their training, they organized a friendly soccer match with their junior brothers. Unless it was necessary to undergo special training, Jun Changxiao had always emphasized to his disciples that they had to be relaxed and moderate in their cultivation. It was also appropriate for them to have some spare time activities to cultivate their temperament. Swish Li Fei made a long pass in the midfield. The happy ball dragged an arc and greeted Jun Changxiao, who had just walked out. But in the end, it was caught by him with one hand. "Come." Jun Changxiao walked into the training field in high spirits and said, "I will play with you guys for a while." The corners of Su Xiaoma and the others' mouths twitched. With the sect leader's strength, if he couldn't control his strength and kicked them, they would definitely become Li Tian Tian. "Aya." Li Yuhua suddenly clutched his stomach and said, it hurts, I need to go to the toilet." As he said that, he was about to slip away, but he had only taken 2 steps when the happy ball hit his head. He heard Jun Changxiao say, "Yuhua, go and guard the goal." "Oh." Li Yuhua rubbed his head and walked back, but he heard the sect leader say again, "Come back, it's to guard the opposite goal." "Ah, begin." As a striker, sect leader Jun showed off after he got the ball, then passed the defenders and charged into the penalty area. He raised his leg and shot. Swish, the ball carried the force, dragging an arc and flying towards the goal. Li Yuhua, who was in charge of guarding the goal, didn't make a save. Instead, he turned around and ran to the side, leaving a big gap. It wasn't that he didn't have the awareness of a goalkeeper, but that the happy ball wasn't going towards the goal, but towards him. Boom! Li Yuhua was one step too slow and was hit by the ball. His body was sent into the goal. Yeah. Jun Changshao raised his peace sign to celebrate. But no teammates came to celebrate, because they all stood in place with twitching mouths. Sect leader, this is a one-man show. The game continued. Jun Changshao was like Ronaldo. As long as he touched the ball, he would move past the defenders and shoot. As the goalkeeper, Li Yuhua only had one task, and that was not to guard the goal, but to think of ways to escape the tragic fate of being hit by the ball. Unfortunately, he couldn't escape at all. When the score increased to 7 o'clock, the disciples on the field looked at Li Yuhua, who was kicked into the goal 7 times in a row, and their mouths almost became crooked. How was the sect leader playing football? He was clearly kicking people. Hey! Jun Changshao shouted. Don't just stand there like idiots, let's play together. Su Xiaoma and the others were about to cry. Sect leader, from the beginning until now, you have scored 7 goals, and we teammates haven't even touched the ball once. How can we play happily like this? Swish! Jun Changshao passed the ball to Su Xiaoma, who immediately recovered from his mental breakdown. He dribbled the ball all the way into the penalty area and kicked Li Yuhua. He and the ball went into the goal together. Damn it! He finally found the feeling of playing football. Bang! 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 Sect leader Jun began to cooperate with his teammates. All kinds of long passes and straight passes appeared frequently, and he scored wonderful goals again and again. The most valiant thing was that this guy took the ball in the backfield. When he saw an opening, he lifted his leg and shot. The ball flew close to the ground and hit Li Yuhua. Both the man and the ball drilled into the goal again. Super world-class ball. Li Yuhua, who was kneeling in the goal and catching the ball with his abdomen, said while foaming at the mouth. I think I can still be saved. Plop. He fell to the ground and fainted. Jun Changshao shook his head and said, his physical strength is not enough. He needs more rigorous training. Do you think the sect leader is so bored that he is playing football? No, he is specially training Li Yuhua to not only become a qualified secondary tank, but also a flexible secondary tank. I have sinned, Jun Changshao said loudly. This kid's physical training needs to be doubled. Yes, Xiao Ziji, who was acting as a spectator, said. Su Xiaoma, from tomorrow onwards, organize a football match every day. Li Yuhua will be the goalkeeper. Yes. After arranging everything, Jun Changshao came to the door of the training room. Lin Jiangheng, Cui Bujian, and a few other new disciples were sitting on the stairs. They all had a hopeless expression on their faces. This was a normal operation. If the disciples who joined Iron Bone for the first few days could still be happy after experiencing all kinds of hellish experiences, there was only one possibility: they had been tortured to the point of insanity. Jun Changshao cupped his hands and smiled. How do you feel? Cui Bujian tried hard to raise his head. His teeth bit his lower lip, and bean-sized tears dripped down. He cried, Sect leader, I miss home. This is your home, Yi Zichen said. Lin Jiangheng, Cui Bujian, and the others suddenly burst into tears. They howled in their hearts, Sect leader, it must be the devil. Chapter 172. Li Yuhua had just finished a 3-star mission with Long Xiang and Ling Yuanxue when he came back and was beaten up by sect leader Jun. What was even more tragic was that Xiao Ziji also increased the difficulty of his physical body. That night, he trained in the molding room for 8 hours before coming out. After dawn, he wanted to go to sleep after eating, but was pulled by Su Xiaoma to play football. Everyone understood the sect leader's intention. When the game started, no one kicked the goal, but only him. Just like that, Li Yuhua began his bitter life. Although the process was painful, the speed of his growth was very significant. After a few days, His physical body and reaction had improved by leaps and bounds. Now, if Su Xiaoma and the others wanted to kick him, they had to add a lot of strength to their feet. He was not the only one cultivating. Under Li Qingyang's lead, the 10 middle-grade spiritual root disciples also consumed the energy-gathering pills and cultivated in the spiritual power array. Lu Qianqian, Yi Xingchen, and the others had their own cultivation plans. As for the sect mission, 7 days had passed since the day it was released. The first disciple to receive the mission had already completed it. The other disciples followed one after another, completing more than 20 missions in total. Jun Changshao opened the data panel. His achievement value had increased from 100 to 200, and his contribution value had increased from 340 to 440. There were still many missions. If he completed all of them, his contribution value would definitely overflow. So, he spent another 100 contribution points to buy 2 bottles of middle-grade transformation liquid. Then, he called Tianqi and Li Fei over. He wanted to continue improving. Gulp. Tianqi and Li Fei took the high-grade transformation liquid. Their spiritual root quality broke through from middle grade to high grade, and their realm entered the 7th grade martial disciple realm. At this point, all 7 inner disciples had high-grade spiritual roots. An 8th grade sect had 7 disciples with high-grade spiritual roots. If this news spread to the Jianghu, it would definitely cause a huge uproar. When he was in the Haoqi sect, Jun Changshao bought 2 bottles of transformation liquid. When the members were full, he bought 4 more bottles, and gave one to Su Xiaoma, and the other 2. So he still had 3 bottles in his hand. Who should he give them to? After pondering for a moment, Zhang Xian called Li Yuhua over, and passed her 2 bottles of mortal tier and middle tier forging solution respectively. This kid's physique was very good. Once his aptitude increased, and he entered Death Valley, they would definitely expect him to stand in front of them and taunt them. After Li Yuhua drank the 2 bottles of aptitude reforming elixir, her spirit root was upgraded to the middle grade, and her realm broke through from stage 9 to stage 12. She stood rooted to the ground dumbstruck. Anyone would have such an expression on their face when their spiritual root and cultivation level suddenly increased. Jun Changshao patted him on the shoulder and said, "Cultivate well. Don't disappoint this king's expectations of you." Li Yuhua regained her senses and shouted loudly, "Yes." As for the last bottle of mortal-grade aptitude reforming liquid, Jun Changshao decided to give it to the shy Ling Yuanxue. Firstly, she had been training very hard during this period of time, and secondly, there were very few female disciples in the sect. Everything was settled. For the rest of the time, he would wait for the disciples to complete all the sect missions, so that their achievement value would reach the maximum. Then he would come to upgrade the sect. Level 2 will open the alchemy pavilion. There will be healing pills and forging pills sold in the shop. Level 3 will open the forging pavilion. Will I be able to forge weapons? Jun Changshao was looking forward to it. 7 days later, the disciples completed all the sect missions, and their achievement value increased from the initial 100 to the maximum of 500. It could be said that Zhang Xian was very precise. He was not willing to give even a single point more. Obtaining 400 achievement value meant that they would definitely obtain 400 contribution value as well. When it was about to overflow, Jun Changshao spent 180 points to buy a Type 88 sniper rifle, an 8x scope, shoulder pads, and a silencer. Thank you, Sect Leader. Receiving the Type 88 sniper rifle equipped with an 8x scope and silencer, Li Luoqiu caressed it lovingly. During this period of time, she had fulfilled her responsibilities, so it could be considered a reward. Jun Changshao laughed. This god-powered handgun has been modified. After firing, there won't be any movement. Is that so? Li Luoqiu took the Type 88 sniper rifle and came to the back of the mountain. She had fired 2 shots before, so she knew how powerful it was. So after loading the bullets, she obediently put on the modified shoulder pads. Xiao! Xiao! 2 silent shots were fired. Hanging on a distant tree, 2 adjacent fruits were shattered. This woman's shooting talent was not worse than Xiao Ziji's. In fact, it was even better. There really isn't any sound. Li Luoqiu opened her eyes wide. With a normal silencer, one could still hear some movement. But with the modified silencer, there was only a slight sound. It was definitely useful for a sneak attack. Li Luoqiu immediately liked it even more. She wanted to go down the mountain, find an enemy, and then hide in a dark place and kill them with a shot. In the study, Jun Changxiao rubbed his hands and opened the status panel. He saw the Can Upgrade button appear behind the Sect construction, level 2. Click. Ding. Sect construction upgraded to level 3. Ding. Sect members, contribution value, and achievement value limit increased. Ding. Sect Smithing Pavilion opened. When the notification sounded, the data panel changed greatly. Sect name, Ironbone Clan. Sect leader, Jun Changxiao. Sect level, 8th rate. Sect construction level 3. Sect function, Medicine Refining Pavilion, Smithing Pavilion. Sect skill, Yi Jin Jing, Divine Grade Low Level, Self/Middle Grade Low Level, Rupturing Fist, Mortal Grade High Level. Sect members, 5001000. Sect contribution value, 4501000. Sect achievement value, 01000. Sect mission none. Sect main mission. Within 100 years, hahaha. The number limit finally broke 1,000. Jun Changxiao laughed, but his laughter soon turned into tears as he howled. Motherfucker, I'm still short of 99,000. 1,099,000. And the difference was not small. No matter what, upgrading the sect to level 3 was equivalent to taking another step forward. It was something worth being happy about. Shwa. Jun Changxiao clicked on the newly appeared smithing pavilion. A small panel popped up, and a 3D projection of a smithing table appeared. There were 3 weapons listed below. One was the low-grade cold-edge sword. The second was the high-grade overlord spear. And the third was the high-grade iron shield. As expected, it's the same as the alchemy pavilion. Jun Changxiao said happily. This smithing pavilion also has the low-grade store weapons that can be forged. He clicked on the low-grade cold-edge sword, and a small panel popped up. The content was weapon, low-grade cold-edge sword. Material, 0. 1 kilogram cold iron 0. 1 kilogram ice spring water. Fire seed, exquisite fire. There are only so few materials? Jun Changxiao said in shock. Most of the pills in the alchemy pavilion required 3 to 4 types of herbs. The cold-edge sword required 500 kilograms of cold iron and a bucket of ice spring water. The system said, other than high-level and special weapons that require many types of ores, most of them only require one type of ore. Jun Changxiao held his chin and muttered, this cold iron is probably not cheap. As he said that, he clicked on the high-grade Overlord Spear's introduction. This was even simpler. It only required 500 kilograms of obsidian. Jun Changxiao then clicked on the low-grade iron shield and suddenly grinned. Because the material required was iron ore. He did not have any cold iron or obsidian, but he had a lot of iron ore. After Li Luoqiu took care of the Xiao family's mine, she brought a lot of it. It was worth a few 100,000 taels. From the amount shown, it was enough to forge 1,000 iron shields. Jun Changxiao said, this ore is useless anyway. Let's forge 500 shields first, and give one to each disciple. The system reminded, iron ore is an indispensable auxiliary, or for forging weapons and equipment. It is recommended that the host use it sparingly. Is that so? Jun Changxiao thought for a while and said, then let's forge 25 first. When we go to Death Valley, let the disciples all equip them. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.